We've made it to Wednesday. It's a hump day edition of Three Man Front. Landrum Roberts, Smiley Robinson. No Pat Smith. He's still recovering from the last hour of yesterday's show. Trying to recuperate.
Have you heard from him?
Gather himself. Yes, we've exchanged texts.
Okay, good.
He's
Wanted
good.
to make sure he was...
His blood pressure is back to normal.
Oh, good.
Damian Mitchell's going to join us a little bit, in just a little bit. Damian's actually right down the hall, and he is pulling triple duty today. You guys had fun on Morning Jocks, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I had double duty.
Double duty?
And it was fun. We had a great time on Morning Jocks.
I'm sure that you did.
We like to cut it up, early in the morning.
I know you do. I've been there. Did it for 2 years. It's a lot of fun.
I felt like
watching
I was
the
in college
sunrise
again.
with Damian Mitchell.
It was hard with the blind, but
Molly, are you in the Christmas spirit?
I'm always Landrum, I have been playing Christmas music as soon as it hit midnight on December 1st, a couple weeks ago. I had my Spotify, my holiday playlist on shuffle, ready to go. I love Christmas.
I love Christmas too.
I love Christmas music. I like old Christmas music. I like new Christmas music. I love Christmas movies.
Now that my schedule has kind of slowed down, and it slowed down a little bit more this week because last week was kind of crazy. And of course, the football season is crazy for all of us, and not only what we do here on a daily basis, but outside of that, now I can fully kind of immerse myself. But I was late getting the lights up this year. I still haven't put the spheres or the light balls up in the tree. And
I don't have a yard to do that.
Well, I know.
I have a Christmas tree up, though.
Well, that's good.
And I have poinsettias around my apartment.
But now I can fully immerse myself in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
And I know you're all about it.
So back when I used to drive the big blue car, every year we used to put Christmas lights on it.
By the way, that looks like an 80s Christmas light with the color that you had of that old blue car.
I miss that blue car.
It was like the neon, like the fluorescent bulbs, and you're too young to remember, but they were a fire hazard, and we would have them on the tree. It's like the one that you would see in the Christmas Story.
Oh, with Ralphie.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Those kind of lights. But I was just thinking about with the transfer portal, and we're going to talk plenty of transfer portal news and everything else. There's a segue.
Merry Flipmas.
But why don't we have one of those commercials, and we see them all the time in the humor. I think that this would be great. You've got maybe a couple of retired coaches or coaches that are going to a big box store, and they've got one of those flatbed push carts. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah.
It's not a buggy, but you can put bigger stuff, bigger boxes and whatever.
Ones, right.
And then you've got guys in full uniform, no helmet on, but just random guys, players
like
at the college level. Yeah, and they're kind of set up like mannequins.
Yeah.
And you're just adding them to the cart. The transfer portal. That was just my idea.
Or if you do one where it's like a commercial, you know the inflatables that people will put in their yard of like Santa or like Rudolph or like Frosty the Snowman? You have like an inflatable.
Like a Miller Moss.
Like a Miller Moss inflatable. It's like, oh, I want that one.
Like a CJ Daniels.
For my field.
A Jackson Arnold.
Right.
A Connor Wigman.
And it's just them like posed.
The list goes on and on. Several Alabama and several Auburn players. We're going to talk about Auburn and Alabama and the transfer portal and the latest news. Guy Chris Stewart, voice of the Tide, is going to join us courtesy of Craneworks, his normal spot at 11 o'clock. Jason Caldwell from Auburn Undercover, he's going to be joining us at 12:30 because just yesterday, and we talked to Pete Nakos when he joined us on the show, and he believed that Auburn, the Ashton Daniels, the transfer from Stanford that originated out of Buford, Georgia, and he's played a couple of years, if I can recall, there in Palo Alto. But that was not the ultimate guy, and Nakos was hearing that Auburn would be looking for one of those potential top-tier quarterbacks. Well, news, and it came out yesterday during the show, and I had texted someone that I trust in saying, what's the story on Malik Murphy? Is there any interest from Auburn? And they said, and this was as of yesterday morning before the show came on the air, and they said no, had not heard anything. Then a report comes out last night that indeed Malik Murphy and one Jackson Arnold are set to make visits to Auburn and Hugh Freeze. And there's a story out this morning from On3 that Auburn being a little bit more aggressive and willing to spend, not only for guys like that, but also Eric Singleton, wide receiver from Georgia Tech, highly prized wide receiver. Then you have CJ Daniels, who I mentioned, started his career at Liberty and went to LSU, and now he's in the portal. And some of those type of guys that are out there. Alabama, what are they looking for? What are some of their portal needs? We'll talk about that. But as I mentioned, Auburn hosting Georgia Tech receiver Eric Singleton Jr., but also Jackson Arnold. He's going to be in town. And then the question becomes, and Jason Caldwell maybe can fill us in, what kind of money for a guy like, now Malik Murphy may be a little bit different in that he started more games, obviously, than Jackson Arnold. He's older than Jackson Arnold, started his career at Texas, and then prior to last year's college football playoff, he decides that he wants to go into the portal. He plays a year at Duke under Manny Diaz, put up pretty good numbers, and now he's available. A guy like Jackson Arnold, I'm just wondering for Hugh Freeze, his system, what's the better fit? Is it a guy like Arnold or is it a guy like Malik Murphy?
Well, and the way I look at it too, and it brings me back to when we had SEC Mike on the show last year, about, almost probably 6 months ago now, when he, kind of said something to Hugh Freeze like, you don't have to spend $1 million on a quarterback, but you also don't have to get a quarterback from the dollar store. So that brings me back to the question that you just asked, how much money are they willing to spend? But how much money do you think, like a Malik Murphy or Jackson Arnold, would they be willing to spend? Because I don't think that either one of them would come in and really be your starting guy. They would be more of like a fight for that starting position. But I keep going back to the SEC Mike and what he said. Like, yeah, you don't have to spend $1 million, but at the same time, you don't have to go to the Dollar Tree. No,
and for Hugh Freeze, I think that it's absolutely a must that he gets the right guy.
Oh, absolutely.
This is not if everything works out, this is
this is his third year.
And as Michael Casagrande, who joined us, he wrote in AL.com, now it's put up or shut up time. You've stacked a number 8 class and then respectively a number 6 recruiting class, and what you've done through the portal and the guys that it looks like you're going to be able to retain. It's never over until it's over, but you got to get this one right. You can't have a situation like you had with Peyton Thorne on a multitude. You've got to have a guy that's going to make a difference. He's going to operate that offense. And with the weapons that you have at wide receiver on that side of the ball, you need to be able to score a lot of points. Don't need to have the questions, the turnovers. That was obviously an issue, and some of the indecisiveness. It was indecisiveness and everybody not being on the same page in year 1. And then in season 2, and what we saw, it still looked like it was dicey and not everybody was on the same page. So, is it a Malik Murphy? Is it a Jackson Arnold? Is it maybe a guy like Van Buren out of Mississippi State? And that was one of the early names that Pat said that could potentially be a guy that Auburn staff looks at. That remains to be seen. But you also have to think that there are going to be other potential teams that are willing to pay a lot of money. Miami's got to replace a guy like Cam Ward, who they got out of the portal last year.
Yeah. Also, I was just kind of thinking, with it being Hugh Freeze in his third year, obviously, his first year we saw him go 6-6, go to a bowl game. Obviously, they lost to Maryland last year. This year, 5-7. So with this upcoming year, because you have all this talent coming in and you have this high recruiting class, what do you think the floor would be for Auburn faithful, would you say? I would think more like a 8-4. I wouldn't even go 7-5.
I think it's probably 8-4.
Yeah. What would be a successful versus like an unsuccessful season, especially
I think
with
8
the talent
and 4,
that
and it depends.
in.
As long as you're competitive, which they were once again, and I don't think now and maybe it's still fair, but looking where Alabama is, you can't just say you want to be competitive in those games,
right?
With Georgia and with Alabama, namely, but in the non-conference games,
all of them, yeah.
You gotta, and you can't have games like you had versus Oklahoma, versus Missouri,
Cal
versus Arkansas, Cal, where it looked like you were in position to win, and it looked like at times you had the better team, but you couldn't close the deal. Damian Mitchell joining us, and Damian, I'd usually give you a hard time, but you've been here and you're gonna try to make it 8 hours of radio today?
Yeah, absolutely. I can do it.
I know you can do it.
That's fun. We're just hanging out, talking ball with the fellas and Molly.
Yeah, I didn't.
Hey.
The big dogs.
Well, all right, so we're talking a transfer portal and some of the news coming out. And Auburn, that's the team that it looks like Alabama. They're set at quarterback. It appears that Ty Simpson would be the heir apparent to one Jalen Milroe if all is expected. Alabama's still got some needs. We're going to talk about that. But quarterbacks, we know that they are at a premium and trying to find that right guy. And we were wondering who those guys were. The news last night of Jackson Arnold and also of Malik Murphy. Do either one of those guys, does that resonate with you in thinking, you know what? I think that could be a perfect fit for Hugh Freeze and Auburn.
I would probably lean more Malik Murphy. It's Jackson Arnold, to me, had the season not gone the way that it did, because I don't think he's as bad as he was this past season. And I think a lot of it was mental. And when he got back in the groove of things, one, I didn't really know him as that much of a runner, but you saw what he did to Alabama. And it's like, okay, well, that you can work with that. And I think the biggest thing for him is just minimizing the turnovers. I think the turnovers for him is just what kills him, because it's a lot of just questionable, boneheaded plays. But when he's on, I mean, he's on. But I think that the more reps that he gets, the more playing time that he has, and maybe just a new change of scenery could be best for him. But I think that Malik Murphy, to me, I'm not saying he's Peyton Thorne-esque, but I think that with him, he's a little bit more cerebral. I think that, we won't see as many turnovers as we saw, some of the plays that Peyton Thorne made in that system. But I would lean more Malik Murphy than I would Jackson Arnold.
Is it fair to bring up, because I keep talking about, I was very underwhelmed and disappointed in Hugh Freeze this year in some of the in-game coaching and decisions.
Yes.
That I thought were pivotal. These are not just throwaway decisions. I thought that there's different times in games, and there's a multitude of plays that can lead to a loss. But I didn't think at times Hugh Freeze put his team in the best position to be successful and to play smart, sound football, especially with whatever deficiencies and warts that you have, and knowing that you're in a ball game. I just went through some of them even before you came in studio. But is it fair to ask the question, even if you go and get that guy, like a Malik Murphy, or we know Peyton Thorne, he was able to have success at Michigan State. Do you trust that offensive brain trust in that side of the ball that you're going to see a remarkable difference?
Can he rectify the mistakes that he did not giving Jarquez Hunter the ball enough?
That's something I didn't even mention, and I was about to.
That's a good question.
You had the arguably the best running back in the SEC, one of the best running backs in the country, and you're telling yourself, you're even stating, I'm having to tell myself on that 300-yard game that he had in Lexington, and he's on the roll, don't throw the ball, don't throw the ball. I know I want to throw the ball, but give it to 27, let that guy eat. But then you start repeating some of the same mistakes. 12 carries here, 13 carries here.
And it wasn't like these games were blowouts. You still had opportunities to line up and just run a dive, run a power, run a trap. You have the opportunity to do it. And I think that's where he has to have somebody in his ear. Somebody as an offensive coordinator, offensive guy has to be like, Coach, they ain't stopped Jarquez yet. He's averaging, 5-6 yards a carry. Let's keep feeding him until he tells us that he can't take it anymore.
Should you have to tell your coach that?
That's
an offensive-minded head coach.
Yeah, it's also a problem.
In charge of your football program.
Yep. That's also a problem, because to me, at some point, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that everybody is a couch coordinator, but at some point everybody was saying the same thing. Hey, how about you give 27 the ball? How about, it's 2nd and 4. How about we give 27 the ball? How about you come out of the gate, the start a drive? How about you get them started? How about you give 27 the ball? And it became a recurring thing, game after game after game. And to your point, you're the head coach. Look at it. Just look at what your offense looks like, because you're putting so much pressure on the quarterback to make the right decisions. And I understand the RPO system, and, they're giving these certain looks. Well, the first word in the RPO is run. How about we just run the football? And how about we take the tags off of and say, you know what? No, we're running dive right here and see what happens.
Feels like we talked about that every week.
Every single week.
Every single week it was the same thing.
And it's frustrating, but I'm willing to bet Hugh Freeze goes over the 2024 tape and is like, you know what, I probably should run the ball a little bit more.
And through the transfer portal, and if you've got all of this money to go and spend, go back to, you had Cam Coleman coming in, Keandre Lambert-Smith. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I felt like he did everything that you asked him to do, and then he was paid to do, and coming in from Penn State. But ultimately, you won one fewer game than you did the prior season when your wide receiving core was not good.
Not even close.
That's the most concerning thing, I think, for Auburn heading into the offseason and heading into the 2025 campaign.
Yeah, because I think defensively you did just fine with DJ
Through
Durkin.
the portal, you can get the Jimmies and Joes these days.
Yep.
But if X's and O's is a problem and you question the leadership and putting those guys in position to win ultimately that's a red flag.
Well, and that was why I asked the question, what would be the floor for Auburn next year, especially with all the talent that you have coming in, all the talent that you signed. I mean, I would expect an 8-win season.
That's just to be safe.
Exactly. You can't have any more regression at all.
At all. And I think that's the pressure that Hugh Freeze is warranted. It comes with it because you expect it in year 2 for it to be a lot better. And again, we harped about this, when they hired Hugh Freeze. It's okay, you can say Brian Harsin was limited as far as recruiting and the offense just didn't have much of an identity. Well, you hired Hugh Freeze, who specializes on the offensive side of the ball, and the production looked worse. And I just can't, you can't go out there and to me, it was that stretch when you're looking at, you put up 70 points against Alabama A&M, you're putting up 50 against New Mexico. Well, if the offense is capable of doing this, why aren't we sticking with it? And I understand the quality of competition has something to do with it, but when you go against the Power 5 opponents, and especially in the SEC, you're only able to muster up 21 in a game. When your offense is loaded with that many weapons, yes, there are many red flags.
I was impressed with DJ Durkin, what he did on that side of the ball.
Oh, yeah. Especially with the young guys.
I don't question the decisions on that side and trying to solidify secondary. You've done a good job recruiting there, trying to add some pieces on the defensive line. You could use more depth at linebacker. But all in all, I thought with what he had to work with and that group, they played hard every single week. For the most part, Auburn, you didn't see any quit in that team. And it was evident in the Texas A&M game when they could have folded it up. But we'll talk about this, the transfer portal. Of course, Jason Caldwell coming up at 12:30, but not only Auburn, but also Alabama. Other names that are out there that could be nearing a decision on their new school that they're going to be playing for, working for, hired by in 2025. It is three-man front, Landrum, Damian, and Molly here on this Wednesday. We'll also get to our Twin Peaks Twitter poll question of the day. That and more. Three-man front continues on Jock 94.5. 10:21 here on this Wednesday. Three-man front. Landrum Molly, Damian Mitchell, kind enough to hang out with us as we talk transfer portal. We got college football news, a lot of stuff to get into. The bowl schedule, the TV schedule, the times, and all of that good stuff has been announced as well, but we do it every single day. It is our Twin Peaks Twitter poll question of the day. And Molly, it reads,
Auburn fans, we just talked about it. So what portal QB so far would you potentially want for 2025? Malik Murphy, Jackson Arnold, Michael Van Buren, or other/none of the above? And right now winning, there's actually a tie between Malik Murphy and other/none.
Oh, gosh.
so people have seen enough of Jackson Arnold. Well,
Yeah.
Jackson Arnold, he's like Zach Calzada of Texas A&M. He did beat Alabama.
We have a sudden change in voting.
A sudden change?
Yes, now Jackson Arnold is actually winning.
See? Because I don't
Tuscaloosa County coming in.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
I don't think Jackson Arnold is as bad as I don't know. Maybe I'm just blinded by the talent, but I just feel like it was more mental than it was physical for him. And that could be, a bad omen if you go into a different setting, because especially at Auburn, if he even shows half of what, if he plays like Peyton Thorne, yeah, there will be a big issue.
Well, our Twin Peaks Twitter poll question, like Landrum said, is brought to you by Twin Peaks. So if you consider yourself a bourbon connoisseur, at Twin Peaks, they're proud to offer an exclusive and extensive collection of some incredibly rare bourbons, whiskeys, and tequilas. Plus, check out their barrel selects that are handpicked by their team and bottled just for you. The supply is limited, so check out your favorite location to see what they're pouring.
Mentioned that you got Singleton of Georgia Tech, CJ Daniels of LSU, and Auburn trying to find maybe that extra wide receiver and a really good one to replace Keandre Lambert-Smith, who came in for the year and reportedly made close to $1 million coming from Penn State. And as we said, he put up the numbers. You got the output from him, and he probably helped his draft stock as well. But unfortunately for Auburn fans, it did not equal wins in the win column.
Nope.
And not all of certainly not his fault. But on the Alabama side, you've got Concepcion, who they are looking at, and that could potentially be one of those guys that they land. What are your thoughts? Because right now, they rank him as the number 8 player overall in the portal.
He's a dog. He is a dog. And to deal with the quarterbacks that he had to deal with when he was at NC State, if you want to bolster up that receiving room, because you're losing Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, and also Caleb Odom, you add KC Concepcion with that receiving core, that's going to be dangerous, extremely. He's as advertised for sure. Yeah,
with Prentice, Kendrick Law, and also Caleb Odom, they're gone. What does that mean for Kalen DeBoer? Not like they don't have talent,
right?
That's there, and they have talent that's coming back, but certainly something to think about. And wide receiver, that is generally where teams go first in the portal, and then you start sorting through if you can find that quarterback. And the question that we had just a couple of months ago was we didn't know who those quarterbacks were going to be, and there were no obvious guys. With Malik Murphy, the success he had, didn't see him transferring. You could see it potentially with Jackson Arnold in his situation, but I wouldn't say that he would be a highly coveted guy. That 5-star pedigree, that's wonderful.
Right.
There's a lot of guys out there that are trying to find homes or backing up quarterbacks and using the clipboard that were 5-star quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think, for Alabama, the receiving core, if you do add a KC Concepcion, think of just how much, because Jeremy Menard's coming back for another year, right?
I believe so.
Okay, so yeah, think of just the growth that could help Ryan Williams, having some veteran guys around him as he continues to develop, because I think we all know he's got superstar potential, but just having some OGs in that room of like, okay, they played a lot of football, they caught a lot of passes, and they can teach him kind of just the more ins and outs, because again, he's played a lot as a freshman. He's going to, continue to develop and grow. But to have some guys that, have put up some numbers alongside with him, you get another year with Jeremy Menard in that room, and KC Concepcion, a guy that has big playmaking ability as well. I think whoever is the quarterback, presumably saying it's Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, who knows, but I think having those guys at your receiving core, and also, you got to see what they can do with the offensive line, too. They got to be a little bit more consistent. But I think those older guys in the receiver room can continue to help Ryan Williams grow to what he potentially could really be. And that's a superstar.
They could. All right, we're going to get you updated on other happenings in the SEC and some of the latest news, because it continues to come out by the minute. This is why the transfer portal season is so much fun. Is it hard to believe that we've had the transfer portal since 2021?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah, me neither.
We're getting old. Time just keep on slipping away from us, man. Well, think about it. TJ Finley, he was one. He's been in the transfer portal every single year since the inception.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, every single year.
Yeah, every single year TJ Finley's he's been a regular.
I'm trying to see who was the first player
To ever enter the transfer portal.
Ooh, I'm back in 2021, and I'm trying to find through the updates that our friends at 247 Sports. It might take a while.
Was it Coy Moore? I know he was early.
Ooh, was it Coy Moore? I'm continuing to have to load more players. This could take the entire show. But who was the first player ever to enter the NCAA transfer portal? It's your trivia question of the day.
That's insane. The fact that it's been that long. Think of all of the guys that have just gone to different schools in just that span. I mean, you got to think the last two Heisman Trophy winners came out of the transfer portal with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
I think I saw something that was like 6 of the last 8 Heisman finalists came from the transfer portal.
It's insane.
It's nuts, right?
Yeah. Because to me, and we had this conversation the past couple mornings of just one, at some point these guys have to look themselves in the mirror and realize like maybe it's not the location where you go. It could just be.
It's just you.
It's just you.
It's you. Not the school. Not the coach.
Nah.
It's you.
Like TJ Finley. Like to me, it's bro, you're about to be on your 5th school.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of look at yourself as an individual player of where realistically are you?
Well, and plus, when you go to 5 different schools in 5 years, what kind of growth are you expecting to still see?
Exactly. You're getting another playbook, getting another coach in your ear,
Right.
getting another offensive coordinator, new system, new teammates, new players, and it's, man, I don't know. Like I'm at some point, your first impression has got to get old. Like, man,
Exactly.
we all know who you are, big dog. Like you here again? Like you're back here again? I just. At some point, you just have to look yourself in the mirror and have.
Who's the biggest bust in this state? Think about that, and you can respond as well. The text line is open 205-834-9450. The biggest bust in the transfer portal era from a team in this state. 800-239-WJOX. We continue. It's 3-man front on this Wednesday, and America's home for college football jocks 94.5. 10:32 here on Three Man Front. College football coaching news, potentially more news coming today. Our three-man front, Twin Peaks Twitter poll question of the day. Auburn fans, what portal quarterback so far would you want for 2025? Is it Malik Murphy, former Texas and just recently Duke quarterback, Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma, Michael Van Buren Jr., who came in and actually played pretty well for Jeff Levy in Mississippi State, or other? You can go and vote now. And right now, other/none is winning our Twitter poll question.
Maybe they just believe in the room they got now.
Next comes up Malik Murphy. Let's be honest, though. You're going to ask a what? Deuce Knight to come in or a Walker White to run that offense, and maybe that's the case. I don't know if you can afford to do that, though, if you're Hugh Freeze.
No.
The SEC. How many times has that worked out?
Very few.
And the guys that it's worked out for, you had a ready-made, every other piece was elite at every other position, and you really had no deficiencies. And that guy just had to come in and not screw things up.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't think Auburn's in that boat. Actually, I don't know how many college football programs are in that boat now where you can get it wrong at quarterback.
No. Like, I think if you're going to have success, you're going to have a polished guy. Like, you at least have to have somebody that's serviceable.
Think about the names, the biggest names that were in the transfer portal at quarterback last year and where their teams finished this year. Well, Cam Ward in Miami just missing the college football playoff.
Yeah, as advertised.
Right?
Yeah.
But a Will Howard. But was that a case of you got everything else around you, just don't go and screw it up?
Just don't mess it up.
Pretty much, yeah.
And you got a good schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Kyle McCord, he took them over the top. Like, at least got Syracuse competing.
Yeah.
Yeah, beat Miami.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think here in the SEC. Yeah.
There's not a team that you look at in the college football playoff or was sniffing it where you say, oh, they are really, really bad at quarterback. Riley Leonard at Notre Dame. That was a guy that Auburn looked at, and Auburn thought at one time that they had, but Notre Dame offered a higher number. So the transfer from Duke, he went to the Fighting Irish, and there you go. Yeah. And maybe it's beneficial that they played the schedule they are, but I actually think Notre Dame's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think so too.
And you look at the
one exception would be Nathan Rourke. Nobody saw that one coming.
No.
Transfer from Ohio.
No, didn't see that one
coming. Played
coming.
6 seasons in the MAC and what he's done with Indiana, but some people would argue that they're not a college football team.
I'll tell you a spot that's gotten it wrong for the past 3 seasons. I'd say wrong, but they haven't had as much success as they want to. Kentucky at the quarterback. I mean, Will Levis transferred in from Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Brock Vandagriff
from
Georgia. That didn't work out, did it?
Devin Leary last year.
No.
He was awful.
Even look at KJ Jefferson.
Man, and I thought
going from Arkansas to Central Florida.
I thought it was going to work at UCF, man. I really did. I thought Gus finally got, the Cam prototype, and it just didn't. It didn't work. And he's in the transfer portal again, which I didn't realize he still had some eligibility. He's been playing college football for a long time.
So we did ask the question: who was the biggest transfer portal bust? If you want a team from this state, lots to choose from, or if you wanted to throw in there somebody who left this state to go and join another team in another program that it didn't work out, because one of our texters on the text line 205-834-9450, it's pretty funny. It said any Alabama transfer that went to FSU.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Because I thought Malik Benson would get better, but he's just not that good at receiver. He's not. Or he's not the number 1 overall JUCO coming out when I thought that he was going to be a lot better. No, he was not even close.
If we just stay with Alabama, Ja'Cory Brooks.
He left and took off. That was surprising. Not that he wasn't like good when he was at Alabama, but to, be one of these main receivers at Louisville.
Even think about guys like JoJo Earl.
Georgia Tech.
JoJo Earl went from Alabama to TCU.
TCU, that's what it was. Dang, I forgot about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jaleel Billingsley. He left and went to Texas. And,
Who was our other guy at wide receiver?
Jai Hall.
Yeah. How's he doing?
I couldn't tell you.
Isaiah Bond, that was.
Yeah. Kind of figured he'd be a plug and play guy. I thought he'd have an impact rather quickly.
Turns out that
one worked.
That worked out for Sark. Still didn't win you an SEC championship, though.
Nope.
You still lost to Georgia twice.
Yeah. Remember Tyler Harrell, all the hype he had coming in?
Oh, man, that was a kid.
They saying he could run like 6,000 miles an hour.
The tape did lie because his ankles apparently were not very good, or his knees. The guy could not stay healthy.
No.
But you watched the tape, and it was, wow, this guy in Alabama's offense is going to be incredible.
Yeah. Probably saw like 3 snaps.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Trying to think. Trying to look on the Auburn side of it. I mean, if you want to, I want to say Zach Calzada was a bust, but it wasn't like he was, I was jumping for joy when Auburn got him out of the transfer portal to be QB3.
This one reads, biggest NIL era bust transfer is Hugh Fraud from Liberty.
God.
I just read them.
Let the man breathe.
Ryan says the first transfer player was Darian Mensah from Tulane, but that was this year, right?
Yeah.
Talking about the portal era, 2021. Who was the first player ever? Biggest player bust, Peyton Thorne, says this one texter. Coach bust, DeBoer, not long ago, losses to Vandy, OU, and UT would have gotten a Bama coach fired. Now Bama fans make excuses and expect to get into the playoffs. Tyler Harrell, Bama, Agiye Hall from Bama. Yeah. Nye Black getting a vote.
Where is Nye Black? He's in Texas, right?
You have to look it up. I don't feel confident in saying he's at Texas.
I think he's at Texas.
A vote from Brandon saying Robbie Ashford from Auburn to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Might not have.
E tweeted us in when we were talking about portal quarterbacks in the SEC. He said the obvious answer is Diego Pavia.
I thought that he would be decent.
And you know what? And getting Vanderbilt to 6 wins and bowl eligible and with a win over Alabama, that's the equivalent of getting your team to a college football playoff in Nashville.
Yeah.
Thank you, E. We appreciate that. Jerry Barnett from Hayden says the biggest bust that we brought in was Tyler Harrell. Second would be Sheridan. Are we forgetting about Buckner?
I knew as soon as,
now?
Being a long snapper.
Zach Calzada that was
awful.
No, and you pegged it because you hated him when he was at Texas
exactly.
A&M.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, why do you think this is going? My biggest question mark when he made the transfer was, why do you think this is going to work? Like, have y'all not watched him play quarterback? He beat Alabama one time, and all of a sudden, Auburn fans were like, yeah, man, he's going to come in and compete. I hope not.
Somebody saying Hall is in the transfer portal according to his Twitter.
Sweet Jesus.
He might be there for a while.
What Pop say on Friday? Get a job.
TJ Finley. J-O-B.
Like, go to work, big dog.
TJ Finley from anywhere to anywhere.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, no, he did his thing at Texas State. I mean, they threw it a lot.
He did. And Zach Calzada, he's doing great things at Incarnate Word.
Which he should have gone as soon as he left Texas A&M.
Get to your phone calls. More of your texts coming in as well. Very entertaining. We appreciate all of your recommendations. Rich wants to talk Auburn. Rich, welcome in.
What's up, fellas?
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I was listening to your show while I was at work and everything, and I was kind of getting fired up, I got to be honest with you.
Okay.
And everything. I've come on Damien's show plenty of times in the morning time and talked about Hugh Freeze and everything, and I have zero confidence that he can get anything done going into next year from his ability to bring in transfer players. We've seen the bust that were of the wide receivers, the first batch of wide receivers that he brought in, to Peyton Thorne and his development. He has not shown anything or any ability to develop quarterbacks and I agree with you 100%. How many times have we heard we got to get 27 the ball? We got to get 27 the ball. You're the flipping coach. You got the final say, and you haven't. He would have been the number one rusher in the SEC if you would have gave him the ball more, and you haven't. The offensive line's a joke. There's no development there. That coach needs to be fired and put on a bus somewhere. I mean, if he didn't get the right quarterback this year, he's gone too.
And you had the fallback excuse, Rich, last year of Montgomery, and he was too worried about recruiting and some of the other stuff. But then you bring in Derek Nix, a guy that knows your system.
Yeah, the
You've
whole
been on
thing
the same
was
page.
he brought in his own people that
Right.
knew his own way of coaching, and it's going to be different. And everybody's all bought in, and all the hype of all the players coming in, all this, the free five, which
Yep.
did, a wide receiver room was better.
It was.
Peyton Thorne wouldn't.
We tried
He
to
was
tell
the
you.
same old Peyton Thorne he was the year before.
Tried to tell you. Tried to tell you. My fault. Tried to tell y'all in 23, like, this guy's, he ain't what you think he is. Then you got him with better talent, and he's looked the exact same.
He's the exact same person he was the year before.
Yeah,
I'm with you, Rich.
he had better receivers, and so his stats were better. And maybe he had gotten a little bit better as a quarterback, but throwing it to the other team at inopportune times could have lost you the Texas A&M game. Ultimately did decide the Oklahoma game. I'm not going to say it lost it because you had other plays in that game that led up to it. The Cal game, that was disgusting.
Yeah, let me leave you guys with this. He's known for his recruiting. I'll give him this. He can recruit the lights out. But if you can't beat teams that you should have beat with the same type of talent, what gives you any hope in this coaching staff when they bring elite talent in that they can beat average teams?
Well, he was able to get away with it, the recruiting class this year, but next year is going to tell it. And when you have opposing coaches in the SEC and nationally going after this top tier talent, they're saying, how many years is he going to need? Look at this school. Look at this school. And I know it's not apples to apples, but what should frustrate, I take the Indiana case and Cignetti and what he inherited in the Big Ten, and they didn't play an Auburn schedule. But Kenny Dillingham, he was 3-9 his first year at Arizona State. They were picked last in the preseason in the Big 12. They just won the Big 12 championship, and they're in the college football playoff. You couldn't get 6 wins. You couldn't get 7 wins. Come on, with the talent that you had. So you should be frustrated, Rich. But hopefully he finds a remedy there at quarterback and they get it right. Be a lot easier to talk about daily here on this show.
Hey, before I hang up with you, can I give a buddy of mine a shout out?
You sure can.
It's his birthday today. Oh, Jeff over there at Howard Bentley, he's a stand-up guy.
Happy birthday, Jeff.
Happy birthday, Jeff. Merry Christmas, Rich, Jeff, everyone.
All right.
All right,
I appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. 800-239-WJOX. We do have Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider. He's got some hypotheticals, some college football playoff futures, where the sharp money is going, where his money is going. It's college football. Well, not much college football this weekend. We do have a game, but NFL weekend as well. Three-man front continues. Docs 94.5. 1048, our resident Vegas insider, Brian Edwards, joining us momentarily. Some other news in case you missed it out of the SEC. Former Alabama head coach Mike Shula, he's been elevated to the new offensive coordinator at South Carolina. He replaces Dow Loggins, who took the head coaching job in Boone, North Carolina for App State. Also, Chip Lindsey, former high school coach, Troy head coach, offensive coordinator at Auburn, and various other stops, most recently, North Carolina. He is the new Michigan offensive coordinator in the wake of last week's firing of Kirk Campbell. So, Chip Lindsey, bundle up. It gets cold in Ann Arbor.
Well, speaking of Ann Arbor, where it is cold, you don't want to get caught in the cold. So schedule your system checkup now from a Train comfort specialist. Train has been recognized 10 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jocks. So go and visit Train.com to find a comfort specialist near you.
And reports saying that legendary NFL head coach Bill Belichick has an offer, and reviewing it, his 26-year-old girlfriend Jordan Hudson is dropping hints. Apparently she is following Molly, North Carolina athletics.
I did go and check on her Instagram.
And maybe right now
true.
potentially shopping for homes.
She follows the athletic department, the football team, and like the football like nutrition. Like one of the other accounts as well.
We will get into that. I want to ask Brian Edwards as he joins us now. Brian, welcome into Three Man Front. Hope you're doing well on this Wednesday. Your thoughts on Bill Belichick and North Carolina targeting him to run the Tar Heel program for the foreseeable future?
Well, it makes me think that he either does not really feel good about his chances with an NFL job this year. And out of the ones that are opening, I really don't know which ones he would even want, other than maybe the Bears. But it makes me think, that he just wants back in, and he's not sure if he's going to get back in NFL-wise because the openings are not that attractive to him. The Giants, I know he's got history there with Parcells, but, it's just not a good situation there. The Jets are probably still bitter about that, one-day tenure and resignation. And I just it makes me think that he doesn't like his chances with the NFL. And so I'm not going to really believe it until it's signed and delivered, though.
Could you believe the reaction? You were probably following some of the lines that we were on Sunday morning as they were changing, and we had a leak. And I think it was Brett McMurphy from the Action Network who had put out the SMU odds of getting in the college football playoff field as opposed to Alabama. I do want to say, any surprises for you and any disagreements as far as who is in there and who is not? Not really. I mean, I get the argument on, the Alabama side and the SMU side. I would have gotten the argument from the South Carolina side as well, even though they had lost head-to-head to Bama and Ole Miss. I think they were the team playing the best down the stretch. So, but look, I mean, when we went to 12 teams, there's just nobody's allowed to complain anymore. I mean, it would have been 4 last year. We've got 12. Number 13 just needs to deal with it, in my opinion. And so I'm sorry, what was the other side of the question? No, it was just is there a team that's not in there that you would like to see in there?
I mean, I would have liked to see an SEC team, but it is what it is.
It is.
Like I said, we got 12 teams. Nobody can really complain.
No, and I'm asking you that because of Alabama, and there have been listeners of this show that have said they should be in. No, they shouldn't. They lost 3 games. But how much, with a hypothetical line, would that change if Alabama was going to Happy Valley to take on Penn State as opposed to SMU at what, +8.5, +9? What would that line be, just right off the hip? You can just give me a roundabout.
Yeah, I would say Penn State would be a very small favorite, probably 1.5 or 2, if that. Right around pick'em.
What about Notre Dame? If Notre Dame was hosting Alabama, what would that line be?
Probably about the same. Notre Dame, small favorite, 1.5, 2. You got to think about cold weather, et cetera.
Okay.
So, I think Bama would be a very small underdog to each of those teams. Based on it being a true road game up in the cold weather. I'm not saying it would be like that on a neutral field or obviously in Tuscaloosa. Okay.
All right. Games that are actually, they do have lines and they are going to take place. And then maybe if we have time for other hypotheticals, we'll get to them. Clemson taking on Texas in Austin. Clemson as an 11-point underdog. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I like Clemson here. I made Texas 7.5. They're 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 as a double-digit favorite. You know, Clemson easily could have won the South Carolina game. Obviously, they didn't, but nice bounce back against SMU last week. And I'm sure Dabo and Clemson is relishing this underdog type of role. And unlike the other teams, they're not really going to be, well, I mean, we're more than a week out. I don't know what the weather's going to be in Austin, 10 days from now or what have you. But, probably not going to deal with extreme cold like the other teams going to Happy Valley and to the Shoe. So I like Clemson there. The other ones, I'm not really sure. I'm just going to see what the market does. I lit on one of my accounts, and Ohio State was down to 7 today. I'm definitely not going to take Tennessee unless it's, set at least 7 and a hook or 8. I'd like Penn State to win. Maybe I could, do a money line parlay or tease with them. I'm not really sure what I would package it with necessarily. And I'm hoping Notre Dame becomes a bigger favorite because, we got 10 days for the market to dictate things. If Indiana were to get to 9.5, I'd buy it to 10 and go with the Hoosiers. Not that that would be a big opinion. Kind of just they've done me so right all year that I kind of want to ride with them one more time, but I want to get a little more points than 7.5.
All right, we'll come back to college football, but quickly, do want to get your picks out of the NFL. Let's start with Detroit taking on the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, this is my favorite one. I got actually money line minus 125 yesterday morning, but as long as it's 3 or fewer, I like the Lions. I made them a 4-point favorite. Tough spot for Buffalo. Detroit's got rest advantage coming off the Thursday game, whereas Buffalo played out west, in the late afternoon slot. And the Bills are 4-3, both straight up and against the spread on the road, which is obviously not nearly as good as their home record. And I like Detroit there. I also like the Commanders, but by that half point to 7, if it's 7.5, the Saints probably going to go with Jake Hayner or possibly Spencer Rattler. I don't know if they've announced that yet, but I don't think it really matters. Washington's off the open date. They should handle their business there. And I like the Chargers -3 at home to the Bucks. The Bucks are playing good. They've won 3 in a row, but they've won against the Raiders, Giants, and Panthers, who have a combined record of 7-32. And Chargers, they're playing really good ball. Coulda, woulda, shoulda got it done the other night, but that leaves us in bounce back mode and makes me think we got better value with them this week.
All right, quickly, you told me that Georgia and Notre Dame, a hypothetical line that's available at FanDuel, that would be one of your bigger bets of the year, regardless of Carson Beck's status. Tell us why.
Notre Dame's listed as a 1.5-point favorite. Georgia is an underdog to Notre Dame on a neutral field. I would love the dogs in that spot.
Love the dogs in that spot. Would you pick Georgia right now? Do you think Georgia wins it all? Or you like Oregon?
Like plus 360, I think it is. I may end up playing something. We'll see. I'm going to see how the next 10 days go.
Okay. Well, we got time. We got your visit coming up next week. Brian, we're out of time. We appreciate you joining us as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Already a busy first hour of the show here on Three Man Front. Landrum, Molly, and Damian hanging out today. Conrad is back tomorrow. Pat taking some time off. Try to gather himself. It was scheduled time off. It had nothing to do with the last hour.
He's on a sabbatical.
And his blood pressure. Yeah, we'll call it sabbatical.
Okay.
He's doing research.
I got you.
He's probably handling leaves in his yard, if I had to guess right now.
Makes sense.
But we're rolling right along. Your text always welcome, 205-834-9450. The Twitter poll question of the day that we threw out there, because right now there's portal news, visits that are scheduled, the quarterback position for Auburn, and potentially one of those names that's out there. Auburn fans, what portal quarterback so far would you want for 2025? Malik Murphy, quarterback from Duke, once a Texas Longhorn. Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma. Michael Van Buren Jr. from Mississippi State, or none or the other. By the way, Van Buren Jr., if he did go to Auburn, that would be the third quarterback that shared the same last name as a former U.S. president, joining Jeremy Johnson and one Pat Washington.
Okay.
If you can find another one, let me know.
You know who Michael Van Buren's great grandfather is, right?
I don't.
Yeah, former president Martin
Really?
Van Buren. Yeah. I don't know if that's factual, but it seems logical.
Explain to me in the break.
It's the Thomas Jefferson effect.
I thought you were going there. Right now, Malik Murphy leading the way at 37.4%, other and none at 31.3%. Now joining us, the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Maybe he can tell us who Auburn should target a quarterback. No, probably not. It is Chris Stewart, brought to us by our friends at Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Crimson Tide Network's Chris Stewart on Three Man Front is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it. The big dog's got it. And now, Chris Stewart.
And the voice of the Tide joins us, as all of our guests do, on the Buyer's Right hotline. Mr. Stewart, how are you on this cool, crisp Wednesday?
I am really good because I'm just sitting here looking out my window at it instead of being out in it. So that's I think that helps the perspective.
That's always nice, and especially this time of year. And I know that your schedule it stays busy because we wrap up the football season, but you have your other duties, and now I guess not totally turning your full focus to college basketball and Nate Oates and the Tide, because you still got a bowl game. But how does that transition work for you typically?
Yeah, it just means that I'm freed up more. If we had the playoff, then I would have missed out on what I'm sure will be a glorious trip to Grand Forks, North Dakota, as I noticed only 2.5 hours by car south of Winnipeg, Canada. And so I'm sure that it's wonderful this time of year. And I'll go there next week. I'll get to do the Creighton game this weekend in Tuscaloosa, which I am excited about. Would have done that anyway, but if we were in the playoff and on the road, then I would have been already heading to wherever that destination is instead of making the trip to Grand Forks. But it'll be cool with Grant Nelson getting to go back home. That's not where he played. He played at North Dakota State, but it's back to his home state, and there'll be a great reception for him, I know, and a big deal that Alabama is coming in to play there. So, not to mention the fact we're a top 10 team right now. So there will be a lot of good stuff going on. Unfortunately, it's just not a playoff, but I'm hearing that ticket sales are actually going pretty well down in Tampa or for the game in Tampa. So hopefully it will be, look, I get the disappointment. I totally understand it. I am too. But at the same time, here's where you are, and are you going to make the most of it? Or are you going to make a tough situation worse? And I think that's what can happen when you have negativity that surrounds a situation. It's fine to not be happy about it, but you actually can make it worse depending on how you handle it. And that's as a player, a coach, administrator, broadcaster, fan, all of those things. And again, it's not a matter of singing zippity doo dah and acting like you're thrilled, but the wrong wrong approach, the wrong attitude can make it worse than it already is.
And we knew the scenario going into the championship games last Saturday and the latest college football playoff rankings prior to last Saturday. It had Alabama in, but we knew that there was the ACC championship game and the fallout and what could happen with Clemson and SMU. When you went to bed on Saturday night, what was your gut telling you about the committee and what they would reveal the next day?
The gut said we get the result that we did. Although when I'm sitting there in the car watching it on my phone, absolutely was hoping that we would get the great surprise news that we got a year ago that you're in. But I really wasn't shocked. And look, not just because of the 3 losses. I think it was the perfect storm working against you. Landrum, you've got all eyeballs on that game. If Clemson finishes it off and wins that thing by 2 scores, SMU's out. I mean, I may be dead wrong, but I really believe that SMU would have been out if that's a 2-score win for Clemson. Or if that thing goes to OT and SMU wins it, Clemson's out. And Bama's going to get in. So it had to be exactly the way it played out for Alabama to be kept out of it. And that's what happens when you put it in the hand. When you lose control of the situation, you have no control over the situation. So we had to sit and hope rather than sit and know confidently that you were going to be in. So that was tough. That was frustrating. But it's not shocking that it played out that way. I'll tell you another one, and this is not the Bama broadcaster in me. This is just a guy who sat in the spot that you are right now, Landrum.
Right.
I'm thinking from a TV standpoint. We talk about how we believe the TV execs are very much plugged in on this, and I do, just like I'm sure you do. Part of the reason, and I'm not saying that Kalen DeBoer isn't a well-respected name and won't be very soon I think he's already among the elite coaches in the game. So what I'm trying to say is, though, the drawing power, if you will. One of the things that I think helped Alabama last year get in, TV wanted Nick Saban.
Amen.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said it.
TV wanted Nick Saban. Well, guess what? TV's already got Nick Saban, whether they have Alabama or not. And I'm not saying Alabama doesn't still have the draw, but it was the double clear choice for them, Nick Saban and Alabama. You've got Bama fatigue nationally. We know that, even regionally. So this was the one year that if you want to make the claim that they stuck it to Alabama, this is the time they could do it, get away with it, and it would do the least amount of damage to them and to their cause. It allowed them to put a second ACC team in, which they being ABC, have the rights on that, ABC and Disney. They've got the ACC rights, so you're helping your product there. It makes it look like they're not just pro-Bama by going that route. So maybe I'm wrong. It won't be the first time today that I have been, but I think that this was the time they felt very comfortable. They could go with somebody other than Alabama and do the least amount of damage to their bottom line. But going forward, I don't know that it'll be that way. Not that they've got to have Alabama to have a playoff. Don't mean that at all. I just think the better business move going forward, if things are equal, is probably going to be to have Alabama in it.
Here with Chris Stewart, the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. And Chris, I wanted to ask you, just when you reflect on 2024 season as a whole, what positives do you take away that you kind of feel confident about this team moving forward in 2025?
I think the fact that you were in the position to be in the playoff literally to the very end. I'm not saying you're happy about being the first team out, but I'm saying if you can go through all of the change and transition that you did and you're still right there, then while we're disappointed for now, I think program-wise, it shows what good shape you are actually in. Because if this staff, and primarily the head coach, can put you in that position with all of the turmoil and changes that they encountered, what will it look like now that they've got a year of stability under their belt and don't have to ask for a map to get from one end of the hallway to the other? They know people. There's familiarity around the state on what they want done, how they want it done. And you don't have the number of defections that you had a year ago. Look, you're going to lose guys. That's part of the game now. But I don't know what percentage of those guys were ones that were lost. And sometimes you get stronger with subtraction, addition by subtraction, if you will. So I think there's some cases of that, and I'm excited to see where it's going to be. I'm not trying to whistle past the graveyard when I say that. I really believe that we're going to be in 12 months in a position that we're much more familiar with than the one we are right now, which is on the outside looking in.
Alabama play-by-play voice Chris Stewart joining us, his weekly visit, presented by Craneworks on the Buyers Right hotline. I do want to ask Chris Stewart, Alabama fan, this question, and I say that because I'd like to separate it. And
sure,
when you look at Alabama and needs, whether it be immediate, whether it be a position that just needs shored up depth, where do you think that this staff is targeting?
I don't know that you can ever have enough linemen on both sides. I think what it's going to look like will be interesting. I think you've got to have. I think your situation in the back half of the defense is going to look better and deeper next year and more experienced. Even though you're losing, a guy like Malachi Moore, I think if you get those guys back, which I don't have any reason to believe you won't. I'm just saying if you do get them back and you're able to add a couple more pieces, be it in the portal or from the high school standpoint, the recruiting piece of it, I think you're going to be a whole lot stronger there. Look, here's an area we haven't had to really worry about in a while. But place kicker and punter. You had the same punter back, so you knew what you were getting. You lost the best kicker probably in school history in Will Reichard, but you replaced him with the guy that won the award he probably should have gotten last year. So you really weren't worried about the spot. But now you've got to fill that, and maybe you've got the guy on campus, but they hadn't done it yet. In the circumstances and the situations, you'll need it done going forward. So, there's a lot to replace, but I don't think it will be anywhere near as chaotic, and it's nowhere near the learning curve or the overhaul that you had to have in many areas a season ago.
And Chris, finally from me, when you look at, what's expected in 2025, is there a certain player or position group you feel confident in that is set to make, a big jump from what they had in 24?
I think it will and needs to be a higher production numbers from the running back position. And that's not to say they didn't perform well. I think there's different reasons for it. But I think you will need more numbers, and I think you're going to get it from this group of running backs. There's some talent there. and I think it'll be better utilized by the staff, and there's a better understanding of everything on both sides going forward. But I am really looking forward to the running game being, and obviously you had good numbers because of Jalen, but I'm talking about from the actual running back spot. I would be excited to see what that's going to look like.
As far as the bowl trip, because you mentioned that in Alabama, and you would hope that after what happened in the semifinal, though it's not the same teams and not even the same head coaches last year, but you look at this matchup, Michigan coming off a huge win and an upset over their rival in Columbus, Ohio, the last weekend of the season. But for Alabama and what they have going into that game, and it's like you said, if you get that buy-in, and unfortunately you've had players that have already entered the portal, but if the core is there and you have the buy-in, I think that's what you can expect, because then it becomes, all right, Alabama fans are disappointed enough, as you stated, but why add insult to injury and go down there and give a half-ass effort?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they understand the business trip aspect of it, which, has been so ingrained in that culture for a while. And with a bunch of those guys back, look, bowl trips are supposed to be a reward. You're supposed to be able to go have a good time. And that's one of the things that I think coaches talked about is that, look, the playoff, when it was the smaller number, obviously it's what everybody wanted to play in. But now here we are in a, I get it, and I'm not trying to downplay the fact we'd rather be in the playoff. But Landrum, there are people, that are talking about Tampa like it's a horrible place to go. There are a ton of people that play college football that would love to be going anywhere in the postseason, let alone Tampa, Florida, in late December. So it'll be a great trip for them, a great experience for them. I hope they'll make the most of it. And making the most of it means having some fun when you've got those built-in opportunities with the bowl experience, but also take care of business when work needs to be done. Get yourself ready to go play. And it is an opportunity to get, for those that are returning, to get ready for next year. And for those that are moving on, a chance to add to a resume, whether it's to play somewhere else or go play at another level, or in the case of so many of the guys, their last chance to play the game, period.
And from a radio broadcaster's perspective, and I know you can certainly share this, and you've been down, but went down with UAB as they took on South Florida this year. Flew into the Tampa airport, which for folks that don't know, Tampa airport is 1.8 miles away from Raymond James Stadium. You can see it as you're there on the tarmac.
Yeah.
Stayed right next to the airport at a nice hotel. You bus over the next day to the stadium. You play the game. You get on the bus. You get a meal after the game on the bus, and then you're right back on the tarmac, and you're back in Birmingham. Logistically speaking, from my perspective, which during Bull Week, it will probably be different for you. But, man, you want to talk about business trip, efficient. I loved it, besides the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. When we did go there a year ago, you're right. I mean, Tampa's a cool town, things to do, obviously, good weather to enjoy it in, especially compared to what it'll be like probably here in central Alabama, and I know your audience is all over the state, but it'll be warmer down there, good weather, good things to do, but it is pretty efficient. And for those that want to get in the car and drive, you can do it without just feeling like you're going on a trip with the Griswolds. Or, you're able to get there and maybe make more of a holiday out of it, going, some other places as well. But I think it's, again, from what I've already heard, ticket sales going pretty well for people, especially a lot of the Bama fans that are down in the state of Florida or southern part of Alabama, a chance to go over and enjoy that. And look, again, I totally understand the disappointment. I am too. But I think the closer we get to this game, the more excitement for it's going to be. We wait all year for college football. And while it may not be the college football game we had hoped to be in, it's still Tampa, Florida in late December. And that's not the worst thing in the world.
And Chris, it's the holiday season. If you're like me, you still got lights to put up outside, and maybe some of those lights need to be stranded high atop your trees. I can't think of a better place than Craneworks if you need something to lift you up at a high level to make sure that you wow your neighbors and passersby.
I thought you were going to bust out into "You Raised Me Up." I thought that was
you raise me up.
Full.
No, I can't do it.
I was afraid you were going to do that. Yeah. No, and a great suggestion for that, for what you were talking about, is Rental Works. They've got a full line of rental equipment for any of your machinery needs. They've also got operators for every type of equipment as well. They've got equipment you need and the manpower to get the job done. Go to craneworks.com if you're looking for a quote. They're in Birmingham, Nashville, Mobile, and Huntsville. And David Upton's been great to me, and I know to you guys as well, and appreciate him making it possible for me to join you guys every week.
Speaking of quotes, I know that you love this movie and you watch it this time of year, but 'tis the season to be merry. Well, that's my name. Yeah.
Yes, and I wasn't going to go with the next line, but
that's all right. We'll bleep it out.
The next line from that, I do remember what that line was, and yes, great movie, great time. You didn't realize you were setting me up for that.
I didn't. I really didn't. Oh, why is the carpet wet, Todd?
Yeah.
I don't know, Margot. Oh,
I don't know,
classic.
Mark. Check that out, Rusty. Yeah, look at that, Rusty. Rusty. Oh gosh, man. Are we on together? Are we on next week? Or you guys off?
No, we're working next week.
I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm great.
cool.
This
Great.
is work. I'm talking to y'all, so
Wonderful.
I'm good. I just want to make sure.
Well, and we'll
Appreciate
talk,
you guys.
Yeah,
I really do.
We appreciate you, Chris.
No,
Thanks.
you don't have. I don't have to go anywhere. I'm good. Are you trying? I can go if you need me to. It's up to you.
No,
Okay,
if you wanted to touch on, well, while we have you, one more question though. It pertains to SEC basketball. We just had the latest rankings come out. Boy,
Please.
you want to talk about spoiled in the SEC, from Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida. The list goes on and on. Arkansas with a huge win last night. This now we're in the non-conference season, but what is this overall league depth shaping up in all of your years of calling hoops? How is it shaping up compared to other years?
You know, when you say depth, that's kind of tough because we've added numbers of teams. So when you're trying to figure out, percentage and all that stuff, but I know this: you got 5 of the top 10 in the country right now in the Southeastern Conference, and obviously Tennessee and Auburn in the top 2, and Alabama in a great spot. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and we're running through all these teams, and I went, oh yeah, don't forget Kentucky's top 10 team as well. That's how crazy it is that, not that Kentucky is an afterthought, but if you were talking about ranked teams, it always started with Kentucky, and then you go from there. And the fact that the league still has its legendary program doing what it's doing, and the rest of the league is where it is. Man, this schedule that Nate put together is, and by the way, a big part of that Saturday. And so, Bama fans, I know we're talking about bowl game and all that, but we need you at Coleman on Saturday night. If you got tickets, use them. If you're not going to use them,
if you got tickets, congratulations, because I heard you can't find tickets.
Yeah. Well, it's a big game, and regardless of who it is. Alabama's, top 10 team right now, and just coming off a great win at North Carolina. Hopefully it'll be packed, should be, but give Nate credit to go and play the schedule you've played. Yes, a couple of tough losses, but for the most part, really successful. Great preparation for what you're about to go into, which is going to be a gauntlet night in and night out in this league.
Well said. And I'm going to go ahead and make the prediction. SEC gets 10 teams in the tournament.
Won't be shocked. Because of, I would have said that'll be tough because you may knock each other off, but the difference is they have done so much out of conference to show who they are before you get into league play. You know, there are a lot of them you look at and go the eye test of, well, yeah, we look really good, but man, you really struggled in November and December. SEC's lighting it up in November and December. Missouri beating Kansas when they were number one in the country by double digits, and what's happened with so many of the other teams, it's really exciting, and it's going to make it an awful lot of fun, no question.
Chris, it's always a fun visit. We appreciate you. We appreciate our friends at Craneworks, and we'll talk to you next week.
Look forward to it, guys. Thanks so much.
Chris Stewart, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, courtesy of Craneworks of the Buyers Right Hotline. For all your insurance, financial, and HR needs, it's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. More three-man front on Jocks 94.5. $11.29, always a fun visit with Chris Stewart. All of our guests and segments of the show available at the Three Man Front podcast, jocksfm.com. There daily. We do have some transfer portal news, a little bit update as far as visits. Our buddy Jeffrey Lee, senior recruiting editor at Auburn Live, a part of On3. He tweets out or texts just a little bit a while ago that the transfer quarterback from Duke, Malik Murphy, scheduled to arrive in Auburn today around 5 o'clock Central Time. He's going to spend the night, leave mid-morning tomorrow, And then he goes on to say the turnaround for Auburn will be fast as former Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold is expected to arrive in Auburn Thursday afternoon.
Okay. A nice little visit. I mean, it's during the week. It ain't as fun, if it was the weekend.
Right.
Let's see what,
But
See what it's about.
some of the visits, and this was touched on, and I'm trying to forget or trying to remember who put it out, but that Hugh Freeze and his staff wanted to put more of an emphasis on getting these visits set.
Mm-hmm.
And if that quarterback that's not in the portal now that is playing for a college football playoff team, unless you have an understood or an agreement in principle, I don't think you can afford to wait and gamble and see what's going to transpire there. I don't know how many of those guys are going to be available when it's all said and done. But our Twitter poll question of the day does ask, Auburn fans, what portal quarterback so far would you want in 2025? Would it be Malik Murphy, Jackson Arnold, Michael Van Buren Jr., who announced that he is in the portal for Mississippi State, or other? And none? Right now, Malik Murphy leading the way, 37.6% of the vote, followed by other none at almost 31%, Jackson Arnold at 23%, and Michael Van Buren at 8.5%.
Well, whether you're going to head down to the Plains or down to Tuscaloosa for basketball season, if you need a good outfit, you need to go check out the pants store. They have a large variety of shirts, pants, shorts, skirts, rompers, dresses, and so much more. They have a game day outfit for every single team, whether you're an Alabama or an Auburn fan or any fan for that matter. They also have great layers for this upcoming winter, so you can shop online at thepantsstore.com or in store at one of their 6 locations around Alabama.
Let's get to a quick phone call, and Michael has been waiting patiently. Michael, welcome in.
Hey, Rachel. So every year there's going to be arguments about the playoff system, how that works. What's your opinion about maybe going down to 8? I mean, every year people going to argue about the playoffs. We don't got the right formula, we don't got the right team. Like that guy was saying yesterday, why not have a wild card round where you can SMU versus Alabama or
Right.
something like that?
Well, Michael, I would say if anything, go up. So instead of having 12, let's expand the field to 16. At least viewing this year with Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, and you throw in Miami, I think that would be compelling TV if you did have a play-in type of round. But I do think that that's coming when they're going to reset. Not only that, but the seeding and kind of the process. And wouldn't be surprised if we actually get a guaranteed number of spots after Greg Sankey and Petiti of the Big Ten have their way with those meetings that are coming up. Michael, we appreciate the call. PG, you hang on. We got more portal news, more head coaching news, the carousel, the smoke. It's not the silly season yet, but we're getting close. 3-Man Front and Jocks, 94.5. Yeah. 11:36, three-man front. Molly, she's in the spirit. Hope you are. A lot of things that we should be thankful for. Very blessed. I am personally. Hope you and your family are doing well this holiday season. Damian Mitchell, that's the gift that just keeps on giving.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Literally all day here on the air since 6 o'clock this morning, and he's been kind enough to hang out with us. And Damian, we appreciate it. Does that song, "To Christmas Vacation," does it bring back memories?
It does indeed. What was this? 2022? The first time I let Landrum know I'd never seen Christmas Vacation, and him and his wife, they opened their home to me, and we got.
It is the best Christmas
We got it done.
movie.
I even got in character, and I dressed up. I had the cardigan sweater. I had the tie. I had the hat. Yeah, I went Clark Griswold for him.
I thought you were going to say you were Cousin Eddie.
No, if he'd have stayed and we'd have had some beers, that would have turned into cousin Eddie. Me in the robe.
Did you have the mug?
I did not have the mug.
It was
But
I
you
was
loved
entertained.
it.
Yes.
Damien laughed from start to finish in that movie.
It is the best Christmas movie.
Because I was unfamiliar with all the vacation movies. Like I'd seen them around on TV and stuff. I was like, oh, I didn't know it was that I didn't know the language was as strong as it was. And I was like, oh, this is my kind of movie.
In some movies you can go back and you watch. It's like, it's not as funny now. But that movie released in 1989, it's still as funny today as it's ever been.
It doesn't matter how many times every season I watch it. I laugh out loud every single time.
It's funny. Cousin Eddie, he was a character.
Yes.
He was a character.
Well, as far as viewing experience, you can get into Rambler Sports Bar and Grill at the Finnick. Open today, lunch through Sunday Night Football. They're going to have all the matchups during the bowl season, but also big college basketball matchups like Alabama, Auburn, and UAB. The NFL, if that's your game day place and you've got another place that you've been going and meeting with particular groups of fans. I know that we have some of these watch party groups to get together and they wear their gear. Well, there's no better place than Rambler Sports Bar and Grill at the Finnick. As I mentioned, open today lunch all the way through Sunday Night Football. You have the 283-inch projector screen, the video boards, the screens, the optimum sound. You can attest to it, Damien. You go down there. They have done it right as far as how you can view a sporting event.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good time down there too. Food's great. And yeah, you need to make sure you know ahead of time what team is going to be on the screen because they have a bunch of screens, but when they party hard.
They do. And for the big games, they turn up the audio. Mm-hmm. And that's something that Kraft was telling me is that's the pet peeve when you go in and you want to pay attention to a game and you want to actually hear the commentary during a game. Kind of gets lost over the crowd noise. Not there. They're going to turn it up for all the big games, and they know the big games that you are there to see. It's Rambler Sports Bar and Grill, 1630 2nd Avenue South, there at the Finnick. Let's go to PG, talking portal. PG, welcome in.
Hey, guys. Good morning, and hope everybody's doing great. Getting ready for that big Tuesday. We all get together again. Enjoy it. Hey, Landrum, Jeremy Lee, I think my friend played baseball with him at Bevel State.
Yeah, Jeffrey Lee?
Yeah, Jeffrey Lee.
Yeah, Jeffrey Lee was a heck of a baseball player back in the day, I'm told.
Yeah, my friend that I worked with Alabama Power played with him, and I think he played second base when he was a pitcher. I think he was a pitcher. Or I may be wrong. But, that's
right.
Awesome, man. Yeah, he seems to be and now he's on 3, so he must be, I guess he's an Auburn fan.
He did attend Auburn. I think he finished school at Auburn. He's been down there, I think, since he went to school. So 20-something years he's been covering Auburn. Yeah. What's on your mind?
Yeah, it seems like, you ought to have him on quite a bit. Hey, I loved what you said about Tampa, my home city, when, you can go ride straight to the airport, the motel, and then go straight to Raymond James Stadium on Dale Mabry. That's awesome. We're playing down there, which is funny. Alabama's down there, and we're down there, too, with the Gasparilla Bowl. So, and I noticed that we're losing quite a few players, as usual, on the portal. It never fails. I don't know how many we've got already, but I'm having a feeling. I want to ask you about this guy, you and Damien and Molly, about this Silver guy, defensive tackle or something in Kentucky. He's down there for a visit right now. May have locked him up where he won't go to Miami. He's supposed to go to the Hurricanes for a visit, but that may be knocked out now. What do you think about this defensive tackle? And we got a couple of receivers that are ECU, Sorrell, and another one from Nick Anderson, and trying to get down there with Lagway. Do y'all see anything on that?
Yeah, well, I don't know as far as where where he's looking to land, but I know, and according to Pete Nakos, and we talked about this, the dollar amount for a quality defensive tackle, especially a guy that's performed at a high level and played in the SEC, he's going to be able to name his price. But he was a 5-star prospect, I believe, coming out of high school, and yeah, that would be, as far as immediate and impact guy.
Mm-hmm.
You could certainly use a guy like that.
You know, with the eligibility, is it 1 year, you think, or 2? Because I know Kentucky, with their defense was always pretty decent. But I was just wondering if he's just 1 year and done, like a lot of them are.
Damien, do you know? Does he have more than 1 year left?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not exactly
Then,
sure.
if he's a hot bidder,
He's a junior right now. So he has played 3 years of football. So he's got, like, according to some of these other guys, he's got like four years left. He could work on that other degree. Yeah.
But I tell you right now, I mean, I'm trying to look up, and everything with Florida especially these portals, is like recruiting a new team now. So, it is what it is. And I told Molly I'm sad that FSU Dave keeps grabbing, or the FSU keeps grabbing all Nebraska coaches. But, maybe, like you say, if they don't want to be there, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
They don't want to be a Husker, then we don't want you.
That's right. Don't let them go. Who cares? They'll get another coach. But, guys, I'll see y'all next Tuesday. Y'all have a great weekend, and, we'll hopefully have a good time, and Don will lead the Dirty Santa thing.
Hey, appreciate you, PG. We'll see you for the Christmas party on Tuesday at Social Taco, right? Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to bring my wife and my son. So,
great.
I guess you'll see the better half. You know her anyway, her and him. So.
Yep.
All right, guys. Take care.
PG.
You too, man.
Thank you, man. We appreciate you. Text line is open, 205-834-9450. We will get to your text and get you up to date on the latest college football news, because he keeps rolling in. 3-Man Front and Jocks 94.5. Well, Clark Griswold, with the bonus he was expecting, he had already put down the down payment on the pool that he was going to install.
He did.
So remember when I used to do Molly's Movie Minute?
Yep.
And one of the movies was Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that this scene was like based off of that movie. And so I was
with the
watching
girl in the
it.
red bathing suit?
Yes, I was like, this seems very familiar. And then Conrad, he was the one that told me. He was like, that's from that movie.
And you go and watch all the other vacation movies,
Yeah.
and it's similar. There's another one where in the vacation movie, and this is a blonde, but it's at the motel that they were staying at, and she decides she's going to take a late night swim. Mm-hmm. Actually, a movie like scene like that in Tommy Boy as well.
I got you. What are all the other vacations as funny as Christmas Vacation?
No.
I think Christmas Vacation is.
It is it's standard.
Yeah.
I mean, the other vacations are good, but Christmas Vacation clears the rest of them.
Okay.
In my opinion.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, if you're looking to maybe get a pool for Christmas, that's cool.
Yeah.
Or how about a new Ford from Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East? You can do it. The Goshen family, and I know that they are all decked out in holiday cheer, their entire staff. Parkway East is Birmingham's newest Ford dealership. The Goshens are the new managing partners there at Dobbs Ford. You can find a great selection of F-150s, Explorers, Mustangs, Broncos, and Broncos Sport. You're going to get top dollar for the trade. They'll beat any competitor's price, and they have 2 certified diesel mechanics there in-house. The body shop, the guys that do the detailing, anything you need, it is right there at Dobbs Ford. Go and see and feel the difference. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. And when you go and talk to Joey, you talk to Rachel, you talk to anybody there, make sure that you tell them that Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you. We do have.
I like the way you work that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good job.
You need to go check it out.
Okay. I will.
Get you an F-150.
An F-150?
Yeah. Get the Dobbs edition.
Does it
You
sit
go to
up
Maplesville.
Does it sit up kind of high? Am I going to have to jump in?
You know what? You say that, and we do give you hell about your height, and you're
5'7",
but you would have trouble. You would have trouble.
I have like
in
an
that.
old man grunt, just and hop on in.
Mm-hmm. You might need like some rappel cord, or maybe just a little step stool. Maybe that I guarantee they could probably put something like that folded down, like little steps that you could walk up.
Just a quick little get in there. Yeah. So I can't be in a rush when I open the door. Like, oh, y'all be careful. And I'm up there sitting up.
Do you have to use a step stool to get into bed?
No.
Or is your bed that far off the ground?
It's a little higher up, but no, I can slide on in there. Slide on in there.
800-239-WJOX. In case you missed the news, Jason Caldwell is going to join us, update us on Auburn and the portal. But Jeffrey Lee, our buddy who joins us, especially to talk Auburn recruiting, Malik Murphy, former Texas, current, I guess, kind of Duke quarterback. He had a pretty good year this year for Manny Diaz and the Blue Devils. He is scheduled to arrive in Auburn today at 5 o'clock for his visit, leaving tomorrow mid-morning. And then Oklahoma quarterback Jackson Arnold scheduled to arrive tomorrow afternoon.
And it does kind of stink, though, because if you're Malik Murphy, you've gotten Duke to 9 wins. Why not just go one last round, for the bowl game? Get them to 10 wins. I think you would increase your, marketability if you're a good quarterback. But I have an iffy feeling about these guys shutting it down before their bowl games. Like, I do have an issue with that because to me, it's like, man, we went to battle with you for 13, 14 weeks. It's like, bro, it's a bowl game. We're going to have some fun.
Is that a character flaw? Because he got into the transfer portal. I can't fault him last year before they got in the college football playoff.
Right.
Because you had Arch Manning was there.
Yeah, and he's a backup at that time.
Can you blame the guy? Can you say that that's a red flag for him going ahead and getting in the portal? But I really can't. If you know ultimately that's not the place that you're going to be for the next season.
Why run the risk? And I get it, but
this is the window. This is when you're going to strike it big. Go back to the pass portal windows, especially last year.
Yeah.
Most of the big dogs, they walked this time of year.
Yeah. I don't know. It just kind of rubs me a little bit. It's like, come on, dog. It's a bowl game, man. At that, like, we're not even going to be at home. We can go, hit the road and see what happens, Just hanging out. Just the boys. Just one last hoorah. But I guess, like you said, if you already know that you're going to hit the portal, all right, big dog, I'll holler at you.
205-834-9450. The Jocks text line is open. We'll get to some of those texts. Will texts in, he says, for all those Aubies that might complain about Peyton Thorne, maybe if you had a coach before Freeze that actually understood recruiting for a pass protection offensive line, you might have had a better quarterback in Peyton Thorne. Auburn's offensive line the last 2 years could not have protected against a Jefferson Shelby youth football defense.
Wow. Wow. Man. So I'm guessing he's not a Hugh Freeze guy.
He's not a offensive line guy, apparently. No, I think that was more on Brian Harsin and lack of getting offensive linemen in there. Michael says, Landrum, ask Damian why he hates all quarterbacks from Texas A&M.
I don't. No,
you do have a track record.
There's only two.
Kellen Mond and Zach Calzada.
Those are only two. The rest of them.
You're okay with everybody else?
Yeah, I like Marcel Reed. I really like Marcel Reed.
By the way, Jacob Zeno, former UAB quarterback.
I like Jacob Zeno.
He's there now. Oh, Jacob's a good dude.
Yeah, I like Trevor Knight when he was there. Starkle, he was okay, but I don't necessarily had a problem.
I forgot about Starkle.
Yeah. Then he transferred to San Jose State and like, well, where was all this? But no, I don't like Kellen Mond. I can't stand him, but I didn't have a problem with Zach Calzada. It's just, why was everybody hyping him up literally off one game? I was like, well, watch the rest of them. He didn't really perform.
This text going back to Julian saying, thought he would be a quarterback and quarterback 1 as a true freshman in Alabama, and then he transfers to Ohio State to be quarterback 3.
And I really don't remember Julian saying, like, in high school. I remember him being all hyped up and stuff, but even when he committed to Alabama, I don't remember him kind of like being that guy that could potentially be a starter.
But that doesn't go back to our discussion that we had about, even if you're the 5-star, how many guys as true freshmen can come in and perform at a high level?
I mean, especially not at Alabama.
Sam says, what's your gut feeling on the future of Milroe? I think Milroe will be in the NFL draft. I think Milroe will be still with his athletic upside. We saw where Anthony Richardson was picked.
Right.
He'll be a first round guy.
Yeah, he'll be a project. You want to have a veteran somewhere around there, like a veteran starter that's probably ahead of him, because I don't think he'll be ready day one to be, the leader of an NFL franchise. But he will, like, his upside, yeah, most definitely.
Bill Belichick, we're still awaiting news out of Chapel Hill.
And that's insane.
Apparently he does have contract or offer in place to coach North Carolina at the tender age of 72.
I have some news coming out of Tuscaloosa.
Uh-oh.
Redshirt freshman quarterback Dylan Lonergan plans to enter the transfer portal.
Heard a lot of good things about this guy in practice.
Yep.
In what?
Practice.
Exactly.
And scrimmages.
Exactly. So Rob from Hoover, he called in this morning, was saying that if he was an Auburn guy, that he wouldn't want to see, he didn't want to see Dylan Lonergan go to Auburn because he thought that he was going to go in and light him up. I'm like, I haven't seen Dylan Lonergan play significant snaps thinking like he's going to walk in and be a day one starter. Like, I hadn't seen him play. And also, he's the third string at Alabama.
Yeah.
And you think just jumping, to the other side and things going to have that big of an impact. Like, he must know something I don't know. I haven't seen him. If he was as good as they think he is, or he could be, he would have been on the field a little bit more. Like, I wouldn't be worried if I'm an Alabama fan of where he goes. Like, he's going to come back and get revenge on us. I don't feel like that.
And we had some text saying some of the smoke that Lonergan potentially going to Auburn, but
be like Eli Holstein, man. Get out of
here. Again, if you're Hugh Freeze in year 3, can you take that? Can you take that game?
Lord, no, absolutely not. No. For somebody that hasn't shown anything?
Yeah, if you're going to fail at the quarterback, if you get one out of the portal, then at least have a guy that has really, really big stats. And if it's that point, I don't know if it matters anyways. Either you're going to get blamed or the guys are going to get blamed for just playing poorly.
Yeah.
More texts coming in. Ryan, going back to who was the first ever player to enter the transfer portal. Ryan says, according to 247, it was Jack Momeister in September of 2022. It took me quite a while to go back that far. Ryan, thank you for doing it. They're from Coleman, Alabama. Jack, Bouwmeester.
Could you spell that again?
And the question is he still in the portal?
How you spell that again?
Bouwmeester, Bouw, and then Meester.
Jack Well,
Meester. That's too easy.
he was a punter of all
Exactly.
positions. The punter.
Man, got a leg up on the competition. Save that for the drafts.
Attaboy.
We roll on. Jason Caldwell in the next hour. Landrum, Damian, Amali, 3-man front on a Wednesday. Jocks, 94.5. This is a festive Wednesday here on the show. Landrum, Molly, Damian Mitchell working overtime.
You know it. I'm here for it, man.
Talent never sleeps.
Exactly. It's the grind, baby. I love it.
It's been up here since 3 a.m.
You know
he
it.
typically starts at 3 a.m. and
Come on,
preps
man.
for morning jocks from 6 to 7. And then he's got Mac and Cube from 7 to 10. He has chosen to hang out with us until 2 o'clock. We appreciate that, Dave.
We're all friends. We're family.
You're getting props from some of your buddies there on.
Oh,
They're
really?
saying you're the hardest working guy on radio.
You better tell them. You better tell them.
You know what? You've got competition in other places, but you are hardworking.
Hey, you got to keep me humble. You got to keep me humble.
Trying to keep you humble.
Nah, but it's fun, man. Because, again, like, you know how Pat always says, you know, I could be out here digging ditches. Not, you know, no disrespect to all the ditch diggers out there, but I'm just saying, like, it.
I've dug ditches.
Yeah.
This is a lot better.
Exactly. I'm having fun with my family.
Yeah. Man.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, you kind of like my uncle.
Yeah.
Molly's
Aw.
like second cousin twice removed. Like, she, you know, she still come to the cookout, have a good time, but we don't really know who she kin to, but like she homie.
Thanks.
And Conrad, I mean, he's like an older brother. Slightly older brother.
Is he?
Kind of, sort of. I'd say cousin, but he's like the
Like
cousin
that dirty older brother?
Yeah, like he's like a cousin that, you know, stays with me all the time, so he's pretty much my brother.
You make him sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to use your bathroom.
Right. He good people, though. He good people.
Yeah. Conrad will be back tomorrow.
Yeah. And then Pat, I mean, technically by my credentials, he's my My father.
That's right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Take you back. We had credentials that were made for some event, and it came in, and Damien's, instead of Damian Mitchell, said Damian Smith.
And that was a weird conversation to have with Pat. I was
It
like, listen,
was.
man, we've known each other for a few years now. I think that we need to have a sit-down discussion about, the first 27 years of my life that you missed.
He missed a lot of moments, but you guys are trying to make up for lost time.
Absolutely. I'm glad
that's been beautiful to watch that relationship blossom.
Absolutely.
The father-son outings and the camping trips.
He's the Ole Miss sympathizer, and I'm, a hypo disciple.
Well,
that's like the only.
Damien, let's be fair. You're week to week. You
I'm
hit your
consistent.
wagon.
I will
I'm
say he's
consistent with Josh
with
Heupel.
Heupel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because somebody asked me yesterday, they're like, well, what if he was the head coach of Auburn? I was like, well, I guess I'm going to change my shade of orange. I'm a big Heupel guy.
This is true. I did hear that.
I'm a big Heupel guy.
Transfer portal. You mentioned Auburn. Jason Caldwell coming up at 12:30. Molly just gave us the news that the word out of Tuscaloosa is quarterback Dylan Lonergan, one of the best practice players we've ever heard about, simulated scrimmage players. And in all seriousness, I have heard from people, and we haven't even talked about it on the show, that the guy can make some incredible throws. And he can really, really spin it. But he has reportedly entered the transfer portal. So what does that mean? You've got Austin Mack, who's there. You've got Ty Simpson, who is there. Help me out. What else does that look like? Milroe leaving. Who would be left? But that is not that's not uncommon these days as far as with the transfer portal and guys that won't get to play. Auburn, they're in a similar situation. Speaking of Auburn, with the departures of Holden Gariner and also saw Hank Brown. Molly, you'll be excited to see that Hank Brown, Iowa, is a potential suitor.
I did see that. He's going to visit there.
What?
Mm-hmm. I know. I had that same exact
For those
reaction
not
that's
watching on
his
Jocks
face.
TV, Damien is making a face like he just smelled the paper plant going down 280.
And that was my exact reaction too.
Hank, you can do better, dog.
Yeah.
You're better than that. But I mean, if I'll put it like this, he's not going to be asked.
You could also go in and be a savior with that offense at Iowa.
True.
He saw the salad bars and he said, "That's for me."
The salad bars.
Iowa City, and they're known for their salad bars,
bars.
according to Molly. That's what her and her friends did in college when they went to Iowa City. They went and hit all the salad bars.
The salad bars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like legit salad?
No, it's
or like the bar.
AKA
bars.
something else.
I got you.
She's got a little bit of a mischievous side.
They do it different in the Big Ten, I see.
Yeah. But the news is out of Auburn. Malik Murphy, he is coming in for a visit. He's expected to arrive on the planes at 5 o'clock this afternoon, leaving tomorrow mid-morning. And I'm sure he'll have other stops along the way. I'm not sure who else is planning to bring him in on a visit. Maybe potentially Miami with Cam Ward going to the NFL and some others. Also, Jackson Arnold, former Oklahoma quarterback, former 5-star. He is scheduled to come into Auburn after Malik Murphy leaves tomorrow, and he's set to be there sometime tomorrow afternoon. So Hugh Freeze, the Auburn coaching staff, putting an emphasis, and right now, and these guys, they hear about things before they're posted or the name is officially in the portal. So hearing it from the people that they trust, I would think that if there is that unknown guy, and they're doing their due diligence right now, but maybe these are the two best possible fits. And according to Pete Nakos and others, Auburn is being very aggressive, and they're willing to spend a lot of money. I did have a former Auburn player that sent me this yesterday because Pat brought up the overall collectives and what was being reported and what was in certain school collectives, and right around $22 million. You had Ohio State that was up there, but you had the schools that right now valued at 17, 16, 15. Auburn was not a part of that list, and had the former players saying that Auburn was around as their official collective around 12, 13, but then there was like a discretionary fund that was another 10 million that was there that could be appropriated if you had to go and pay a lot of money for a quarterback. But for Jackson Arnold, that's either one of those guys.
Right. Like, it's pretty thick. If anything, if you're Jackson Arnold, Malik Murphy, be reasonable. Like, I understand it's a business at this point, but if you're Jackson Arnold, I wouldn't want to come in and start having, like, some demands about where, the money should be, because all they got to do is just pull up your Oklahoma tape and be like, big dog, let's let's simmer down. We understand where your heart's at, but if you put out this kind of tape, that money is not going to be the return on investment is not going to be pretty high. Put it like that.
But the attraction would be who you potentially are playing with.
Yeah.
And having a guy like Cam Coleman and some of the other receivers that are still on that roster. And Cam Coleman putting out a tweet and saying that he was not going anywhere. He's going to be there at Auburn.
Yeah.
I think whatever his original deal was, that deal probably got re-upped, and then you saw the production that you got against ULM and Texas A&M and Alabama.
Yeah. And also for him, especially for Cam, both he and Ryan Williams, for as highly touted as they were, they had their freshman moments. They had their freshman moments a lot, and a little bit inconsistent at times. They're young. They're still figuring a lot out. But I do think, once they put it all together, get another year in the systems that they're in, they're going to be just fine.
I think people underestimate. I never played college football, and I never played it at the D1 level. You played it, not at the D1 level, but just being around it and talking to coaches and witnessing it and seeing the stuff behind the scenes, it takes a lot. And to come in and perform at a high level, especially as a true freshman, I don't care what position, and wide receiver might be the easiest to transition into.
Right, and you still have those woes.
It's
still
tough.
have them.
It's a whole different level of ball. 800-239-WJOX. I'm going to let him on, even though he called me Conrad yesterday. Rob is in Alena. Hey, Rob, what's up?
I love it.
Do you?
You know why? And I told Molly this morning with Damien, I did that because you called me Don a few weeks ago whenever we talked. But that's the only reason. But, hey, look.
That was a
Damien,
compliment.
when I called you and Molly this morning, I said, hey, look, my worst fear is Dylan Longren going into the transfer portal because he would make Auburn a better football team.
How?
That boy has game. How?
If he's that good, my only question mark is if he is that good, why didn't we see more of him at the University of Alabama? Because if he was that good, he would have been ahead of Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson. And you tell me he can make an impact on that level at Auburn?
All right. Well, you know what? In some games, Ty Simpson would have been better than Jalen Milroe in some games. But here's the thing. If you're the third best quarterback on Alabama's team, and they are a 4-star, 5-star, 4-star coming in, you're better than any Auburn quarterback that's coming in or there. And that's what scares me because he can beat Alabama. I've watched him in 2 spring games.
Then why didn't he play it? Hold on. You saw me. So 2 spring games, and you're telling me he can go to Auburn University and be the starter and beat Alabama. Then why wouldn't he play at Alabama?
All right. Well, you're telling me that the quarterback that's at Auburn now that came from Michigan State that was a 5-star and couldn't beat Alabama?
He wasn't a 5-star.
He wasn't a 5-star. It's Peyton Thorne. Like I didn't think he was that good anyway.
Well, I know you didn't. I was just bringing up the thing that it scares me because all about. Are you gonna hang up on me again?
You think Dylan Longren is better than Malik Murphy or Jackson Arnold?
Well, I think given a chance, it could be.
What you mean, give him a chance? Like if you telling me about practice, you talking about practice, you talking about spring games that he is that good that he can go to Auburn and be a starter day one. But here's the problem. Here's the
problem with all of this is if you're talking specifically about going in and playing for Hugh Freeze in Auburn, I don't think Hugh Freeze, he doesn't have we're talking about gambling. And to some extent, it's a gamble with any of these guys, but especially a guy who has not started a game in the SEC and you're going to, or started a college football game and you're going to base it on A-Day performances. I think that's really, really tough. And I don't think he can afford to do that.
You know what? In Landrum, I agree. I totally agree. And you know what, Damien? I totally agree with you. All I was saying, I was giving a take, and this is a much better take than Bama Hater ever gives, is that he just entered the transfer portal today. He's going to play football. He's going to start somewhere for somebody next year, and he's going to be. He didn't go to Georgia because he had
the one starting now and the one that went to Kentucky in front of him. They were both 5 stars. Georgia wanted him as bad as Alabama did.
Let me give you,
And-
though, an example, okay?
Hold on. The
All right.
4th-string quarterback last year, what was the name? He came out of Louisiana or whatever. He was starting quarterback for Pitt this year and led them to 9 wins.
Well, we're talking about the SEC, and now we're going to get in the SEC
Right,
and playing a Pitt schedule in the ACC.
Well, no, I'm just saying the 4th-string quarterback from Alabama last year transferred to Pitt, was the starting quarterback, and led Pitt to 9 wins in the ACC.
And the 3rd-string quarterback transferred to Notre Dame and played lacrosse and then wide receiver.
Well, I'm not even sure what string he was.
Well,
I'm not even sure he trained.
Hey, Rob, we got to let you go. Appreciate you, Rob, there
All right,
in
perfect.
Helena. Thanks for calling. I was going back to Brock Vandegrift. This is a 5-star guy that had been waiting in the wings at Georgia. He was an Athens, Georgia high school kid. He was a can't miss, right? He went in the portal. It was a do not contact. That deal was already done,
Right.
and reportedly $1.5 million to go and be the starting quarterback at Kentucky.
Ooh.
Guy who had all kinds of talent. Look at him. Have you seen him in the G-Day games? Well, this year he completed 57% of his passes, 1,593 yards, and he had 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He was also sacked 25 times,
Yeah.
which never helps.
That doesn't help at all.
But there again,
Yeah, he just
that's the risk that you run.
right.
Not
And-
saying there weren't other deficiencies, but right now you need a guy, and you need to count on having deficiencies if you're Auburn next year, whether it be the offensive line. I don't think it's going to be at wide receiver. I think you're probably okay at running back. But count on that. And who is a guy that can overcome some of those deficiencies?
I guess Dylan Lonergan.
I'm going to guess somebody else. Your guess is as good as mine.
Right.
Jason Caldwell will join us coming up at 12:30. He'll give us the latest on where he thinks Auburn is going to go. We'll continue with your text. We'll keep you updated on the portal. You just heard the Lonergan news coming out of Tuscaloosa, other news from around the SEC, and more. Still waiting on Bill Belichick. And do we get the baby blue, Carolina blue smoke that comes out of the chapel or the stack there in Chapel Hill? 3-man front on a Wednesday, Jocks 94.5. 12-18 three-man front. Dylan Lonergan, Alabama backup quarterback, entering the transfer portal. Tulane quarterback Darian Mensah, he commits to Duke out of the transfer portal. As Malik Murphy, he had announced that he was entering the transfer portal. Malik Murphy is scheduled to be in Auburn today at 5, leave tomorrow mid-morning. Jackson Arnold, meanwhile, he does have 2 official planned visits to Auburn tomorrow afternoon and then Mississippi State on Friday. Pete Nakos is estimating that the NIL valuation is $1 million plus for Jackson Arnold, and that his former offensive coordinator who recruited him when he was there in Norman, Oklahoma, Jeff Levy, now Mississippi State head coach, is trying to make it a priority that Jackson Arnold is QB1 and the top target for Mississippi State moving forward. Oh! With that sound, you know that there's breaking news here on the show. For more, all in her Christmas sweater. And I think maybe a bowl full of knickknacks. One Molly Robinson. 'Tis the season, Molly.
'Tis the season. And it's also the season of a new coach in Chapel Hill. Ooh. This is just breaking. North Carolina is finalizing a deal to land Bill Belichick as the next head coach.
Oh boy. Really excited about being here.
I appreciate
Jordan, my girlfriend, is 26. I'm 72. Keeps me young. Excited about all the tradition. Saw a basketball game here once. It's great. North Carolina, it's a fun state. Used to come here and play the Panthers. It's a lot of fun. I passed her here one time as we were making our way down the eastern seaboard. Yeah. Bill Belichick. Woo.
That was a really good impression.
It was.
It's really not hard to do. Just act like you don't give a damn and you'd rather be anywhere else.
That's valid.
That's the Bill Belichick.
Pretty much.
And you just drop it down a couple of levels. Okay, we'll get into this right now. So Bill Belichick going to North Carolina and talking with, it was Matt Baker, who's a national college football writer there at The Athletic. He joined the show yesterday, and I asked him about the North Carolina job. Like, what are you hearing from people? Because John Sumrall, to me, would have been and it's going to be a grand slam, whoever hires him away from Tulane. Mm-hmm. And I know he's reaffirmed his commitment there in New Orleans. But not to have any more names or maybe mutual interest to that job really kind of solidifies where we think North Carolina is. Mm-hmm. Proud academic institution, what it represents, the brand. You think about basketball, and then according to Matt, saying that there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen. You're not answering to one. You're not answering. Sound familiar? That's the case at other athletic departments, not just in this state, but other places as well. But that was just not maybe the appeal. And I argue that I thought Central Florida, if we're just basing it on football job, Central Florida to me is more appealing than going and coaching at North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And you hear the moniker of, well, North Carolina is a sleeping giant. How long are they going to be asleep? I remember Dre Bly. I remember Julius Peppers. I remember some of those teams. Mac did it the first go round.
Yeah.
Mac came back and look, they were good. He got them better. North Carolina got better under Mac Brown at an older age. But for Bill Belichick to be the guy, and I respect everything that he did as an NFL coach, but this era where you got to have all kinds of energy. We hear behind the scenes coaches that are 20 years younger that have been doing it, that are like, I am done. Let me go to the NFL, coach a position, or just take my mutual funds, live off the interest, and live on the coast. Because they're tired. They're tired of the battles. It's not just recruiting. It's recruiting your own roster. It's every single day. It's going and begging for money. Ask Mark Stoops at Kentucky.
Yeah.
You think Bill Belichick?
I'm telling you, man, I don't see this working. Well, I really don't.
And me and Damien, we talked about this morning. We don't know how that transition will be because we don't know how. I mean, coaching the NFL is obviously a lot different than college. And yes, you can argue how college is basically a free agency now, but we just didn't know how his coaching style would kind of translate into the college level with a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds.
I think it's just like namesake. I get to be coached by Bill Belichick, but
and that was also what we talked about.
He don't play the radio with you. Like I am ready to see when a college player, when a North Carolina guy goes off in the season and it's like, hey, coach, I want my NIL money to go up. Like, I can only imagine what Bill Belichick is going to say to somebody's son.
We've seen coaches that were removed from the NFL that came and they took head coaching jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take Bill O'Brien and what he was able to do at Penn State and then coming back and now what he's done at Boston College. But he's not. He's also not 72 years old.
No.
I think Bill O'Brien has a better personality, in my opinion, than Bill Belichick. Not saying that Belichick, yeah, he's relaxed every time we see a special from ESPN and he's with Nick Saban and they're hanging out and they're talking ball. Yeah, he's comfortable there. But relating to these kids, and I saw it where he really didn't have time when he was in the driver's seat in New England with that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
He looked so disinterested with so many different things. How is that going? How is that?
Well, and another thing we mentioned too is that we all remember the final few years of Bill with the Patriots in New England. What are you going to do when you don't have a Tom Brady type quarterback in Chapel Hill? How well is that going to translate over as well? Because again, we all saw the subtle downfall, if you will, the last few. Because the last year he won 3 games,
yep.
I think, up in New England, and it's just why. Why do you want to get back into it, especially at the college level?
Tell me
because
why.
he's a guy that knows nothing but coaching.
Even at
and
72.
he doesn't know what to do with himself. Well, he's got a young girlfriend.
Yeah, extremely.
She's my age.
Do the quick
insane.
math. 72 minus 26 is 46. Is that correct?
Sounds about right.
Good job.
46 is younger.
Extremely.
And maybe he just, hey, you're not getting some retired old guy. I'm going to be grinding on the recruiting trail, in the office. Let's go start our life in Chapel Hill. But I can only imagine a guy like,
start our life in Chapel Hill.
Here's to our future.
Like, was she
You
gonna be
never
like
know.
a GA?
It's Chapel Bill now.
Chapel Bill. There it is.
I had to. Sorry.
Oh, boy.
It was right there.
Y'all are rubbing off on her, dog. Like she's hitting that. She's in those corny little jokes.
And he'll
happens.
find great football minds that are able to come in, but how many of those are at the college level? And there's
Right.
always going to be somebody looking for a job. So you can find college coaches that would go and
How many want to coach?
people need paychecks.
How many want to coach under Bill Belichick though?
That just depends. How desperate are you for that paycheck?
That is a great point.
Do you have to be gainfully employed? Is there a legal agreement where you have to be employed by somebody at a certain date, or you owe for something? Or you just want that challenge, or to say, you know what, I coached under Belichick for 2 years before he decided that college football wasn't for him in Chapel Hill.
Right. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know how it's going to work because I do think in this new age of college football players, some of them, like, I'll just be straight up, some of them are soft. And Bill Belichick is not going to play with you. Like, it's a business, big dog. Like, I'm telling you, the first conversation the North Carolina player has about, hey, coach, why am I not on the field? Why am I not getting my NIL money? Bill may put his hands on. He may put his hands on. Like, hey, big dog, let's have a real conversation. When it comes to the financial part of it,
Yeah.
it's what have you done for me? You
So
are just a
naturally,
number.
I want to see the details of the contract. And is his son tied up? Because there were rumors that were out there that Bill Belichick, he
Right.
wanted some kind of guarantee that his son would be the coach in waiting. And his son's defense coordinator at University of Washington right
Mhm.
now. I can't see any school doing that. The coach in waiting thing. I think we're beyond that. But did he have so much leverage where he looked at North Carolina and said, you got me, but this is the only stipulation. You got to agree to this. Find it hard to believe, but that athletic department, it's been kind of disarray, and the $17 million budget shortfall, and Bubba Cunningham having to answer to others. Who knows? And what does expansion look like?
Yeah.
Is North Carolina even a member of the ACC in a couple of years?
And realistically, how long do you think Bill Belichick will be there? Like,
It's a 10-year plan, right? The Bible that he provided them? The 400-page Bible?
the 400. Yeah.
On how he's going to do everything?
Mm-hmm.
10 years. He'll probably see 3 of them. I'm saying he's still gonna be alive, but like he's only gonna be.
No, I know
there
you're
for
not.
3 years.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to put him in.
No.
He good people.
Oh, it's not like he looks like he's.
True.
His
Maybe-
girlfriend keeps him young.
Exactly.
It's not like he's got the DNR tag on him.
Nah.
No.
But I mean, you do lose a step when you get older. I've learned as I've gotten older.
My first call And you know what the answer is going to be. Is it, hey, Nick?
Yeah, how do I do this?
Want to do it again?
He's going with that. I'm not going to, quit asking.
Remember the fun times we had there in Cleveland?
Well, he's
wild nights breaking down film, reel to reel.
That would make Nick Saban have to step away from being the SEC, commissioner in a couple years.
We couldn't find any chalk for the chalkboard.
Chalkboard.
Yeah, we went out in the parking lot, and the dust that had collected on the hoods of our cars. We just drew a place there. We won that week. Join me in Chapel Bill.
There you go.
That'd be my first call.
As an
after he tells you, yeah,
he's probably
just you're my chief of staff, because his son's going to be defense coordinator or co-defensive coordinator and learn under Nick.
Yeah,
it's just a thought while we're doing crazy things, and Bill Belichick is apparently going to be the next head coach.
He might get TB12 to be his offense coordinator.
Maybe so. Quarterbacks, they're out there. The latest on Auburn, a guy who knows about it. He's been covering Auburn for almost 3 decades. Jason Caldwell joins us next. This doesn't sound like Christmas music, Molly.
Tell me why.
Damian Mitchell starts singing this in the break, and you decide to break it out.
It's a banger.
NSYNC? I'm just kidding.
Backstreet Boys. Don't be disrespectful.
I know it's Backstreet Boys.
That's very different.
All right, the news, in case you missed it, Bill Belichick Big ball of personality. Great coach, championship coach, has officially or not officially, but it looks like he is going to be the next head coach at the University of North Carolina. That news breaking not too long ago. Maybe some breaking news here on the show. Jason Caldwell, part of Auburn Undercover, joins the show frequently. And if anybody knows, Jason Caldwell knows about the goings on the Plains and there in Lee County. Jason, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How about y'all?
Doing great. Would you ever have thought, even as crazy as this world is, especially the college football world, college athletics, that Bill Belichick would be a head coach at the college level at a place like North Carolina?
No. And if our guys with Inside Carolina have it, I'm guessing it's pretty true. So I'll go ahead and go with that one.
That's wild.
But it tells you how different it is. This is not college football anymore. It's a professional sports franchise. It has to be treated that way. And the funny thing is that it's honestly even worse than a professional sports franchise, because Bill Belichick is not going to be like it when he brings somebody in and in 6 months they're ready to leave after they paid those people. And the contracts in the NFL are pretty binding. And if you don't like the guy, you can cut him. But if he's yours, he's yours. That's not the way this thing works anymore. And so I don't know. It's a crazy time. But yeah, to see, I don't know, 73 years old, 73, 74 years old too, to come in and kind of start that thing. That's crazy as well.
Well, and Mac Brown, he came back at an older age, but Mac Brown is a college coach. He loves the college process. He loves engaging with young people. He's done it at a high level at different stops.
Yeah.
And you know what? Mac Brown is a true gentleman of the sport. I'm not saying that Belichick's not, but Belichick just seems like he would be absolutely miserable to be around.
Very different guy. I would not look forward to that as a media member. I don't think that would be a lot of fun. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's, there'll be a side that goes, hey, Bill Belichick, hey, I want to go play for that guy. But there's going to be another side that goes, hey, that guy doesn't know anything about college football. And it's going to be interesting to see how you relate, because you can relate with Super Bowl rings, but that's different than relating with and now it's 17, 18, year old guys are graduating early. They want to get there in the spring. Yeah. The time and effort it takes. And I've talked to a couple of folks, and they said, look, they got to the NFL and quickly realized that they would never come back because of the time. And you go coach your guys, you go home.
Yeah.
And in college football, now you coach your guys, you go home, you make sure none of those guys go in the portal while you're signing the next class. And as soon as that's over with, your season ends, you have to make sure none of your current guys go in the portal while you're trying to get portal guys on campus at the same time, to then figure out what your roster looks like so you can start workouts in a couple of weeks and then go through spring practices, and then you hope you don't lose them again.
No doubt.
It's insanity. And I just don't know how somebody that's done that and you jump in at 70 plus years old, I don't know how you handle that. I know you hire a bunch of people to do it, but it's still a lot of work.
Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, covers the Auburn Tigers, has been doing so for almost 30 years, joining us on 3-Man Front on the Buyers Right Hotline. We do need to talk portal. Some news coming out on the wire about Auburn, and they're seeking a quarterback. Ashton Daniels, Stanford, that news came out that it was trending, that Auburn was a destination potentially. He's a kid that's originally from Buford, Georgia. He's got speed, but we were quickly told that is maybe just to help build some depth, and maybe he gets closer to home. The news today, Malik Murphy, former Texas this past season Duke quarterback, entering the portal just a few days ago. He is scheduled to be in Auburn this afternoon at 5 o'clock, leave tomorrow. Meanwhile, Jackson Arnold, he is going to make the visit to Auburn, as we understand it, Jason, tomorrow afternoon. And then Mississippi State with his former OC Jeff Lebby on Friday. Let's start with Malik Murphy. When you look at this kid and you talk to people on that staff, what kind of fit and how much potential is it that Auburn lands him as their next starting quarterback?
Yeah, I think the thing that, honestly, the first thing you have to talk about when talking about guys is if you have a couple of guys that you like, it's almost first guy in the boat. Who can you get to say yes? It's really impossible to go, we're going to pick and choose right now, because you might not get to your second guy. That's the way this thing works. And so that's the crazy part of. The other crazy part is that in the past couple of years, it kind of felt like if you were the guy that got the first visit, that you were in a pretty good spot. Now, because most of these guys have agents, now they want these guys to take more visits because that pushes up price tags. And so, I don't know. Malik Murphy, I think, will be a good fit. He's more of a pocket guy, big physical, strong arm quarterback. Really had a good year for Duke, for a team that I honestly didn't think had a whole lot of talent around him. And he led them to 9 wins, which is pretty impressive. Jackson Arnold is the flip side, really athletic, strong arm, one of the top quarterbacks in the country coming out of high school, and had a team that lost all its talent this year. I thought Oklahoma was just hammered unmercifully from, wide receiver injuries and offensive line injuries. And honestly, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He did a fairly good job considering what he had to work with. So 2 different types of guys a little bit, but honestly, for Auburn, it may be, hey, which one of them is ready to go? And when they do, you say, okay, come on.
So in your opinion, both of these guys, they will leave with committable offers, and they'll have some kind of plan put in front of them for them to sue on before they leave.
I would think so. I think pretty much now you almost know before a guy ever gets to campus whether or not you're going to go ahead and take that guy. I think you're going to have that plan in place because to get a visit, you almost have to nowadays because there's only so much time and there's so many options for these guys. You almost have to have that done before they come, and then it's up to them on whether or not they're ready to go. But yeah, you look, and I think Jackson Arnold's a guy that gives you a little bit more running ability. I think it would be maybe the ideal guy, but Malik Murphy's probably been a guy that's maybe done a little bit more. And so I think you have 2 pretty good options.
Is there really a safe bet? And I hate to ask this, but given some of the in-game decisions that we saw, we know the talent's there on the outside with the wide receivers you have, even with the departure of Keandre Lambert-Smith. But is there one quarterback that you think could overcome any deficiencies they have up front next season that you see that could potentially be an option, either if his name's in the portal or not in the portal right now, Jason?
Yeah, I think you look at, and I think Jackson Arnold, you saw his running ability. The crazy thing is Oklahoma got sacked 46 times this past season. He ran for over 700 yards last year as a quarterback. So I think you look at a guy like that, the athleticism standpoint, I think you look at, there's a guy that I think everybody's kind of pointed to wondering what was going to happen. And I think you look at Oklahoma and you go, they just hired Washington State's offensive coordinator, is a guy like John Mateer, a guy that goes in the portal. I think you look at a guy like that, another guy that can really run and sling it, do some things. And that's a possibility. If he were to go in, he's going to be a highly recruited guy if that were to happen. So there's a few guys like that, but I think Jackson Arnold probably more of a guy that can overcome some things up front.
And Jason, a question about the quarterbacks that are still there on the roster for Auburn. Of course, you signed Deuce Knight with this freshman class and Walker White, a guy that's been on campus for a while. How big of a gap is it for them to potentially be a starter? Is it more of just Hugh Freeze just wanting to have a veteran guy that should be able to run his offense? Because I do think, we saw Walker White in spots. How big of a gap is it from those guys to what could potentially be a transfer coming in?
Yeah, I think the only thing would be experience, but you only have 2 scholarship quarterbacks, and you got to go get some other guys. You have to have 4 quarterbacks, and because you look at it, so you're going to go get some experience there. But I think you'll line them up in the spring and see what happens. Walker obviously is going to be a little bit more ahead because he's played in the offense for a year. He's really athletic and comes in to be in the spring, so those guys will be there. But I think the experience part, reading defenses, all those things is probably the biggest separator when you bring in a veteran quarterback.
Is your estimation that the financial compensation will be somewhere in the $1 to $1.5 million range?
Honestly, I don't really know. You would expect that to be the case based on what we've seen from some of these other places, but and what other guys are getting. But honestly, don't really know. I guess it all depends on each individual guy.
All right, you've addressed quarterback. Let's talk wide receiver. Eric Singleton, guy that's had a sensational first 2 seasons at Georgia Tech. Also a guy that Hugh Freeze is very familiar with. And C.J. Daniels, former Liberty, just LSU wide receiver. They're scheduled to make visits. Auburn's need at wide receiver, and specifically, is it one of these 2 guys that you think that they land?
Yeah, I think you take both if you're Auburn. just from a number standpoint, again, you're going to need some older veteran guys, established guys to go along with your youngsters. And so I think you're looking for a couple of guys, probably portal. So I think this is ideally, if you could get both these guys, I think these are guys that can come in and find a spot. Singleton probably more of a legit starter to come in. Daniels might be a guy that you work in as a veteran experience piece, but I think you obviously would take both these guys if you can get them.
And Jason, kind of looking towards, the future for Auburn in 2025, is there a position group or player that you feel extremely confident in that's going to take another jump up, or a group that, really shown a lot of light in 2024 that you're, excited to see on the field in 25?
I think this defensive line group, that with these young guys that are coming in from the state of Alabama, we're down in Alabama, Mississippi now, and watched practice this morning. And these young guys coming in are going to make an impact to go along with the Keldrick Falk and Malik Blockton that we saw last year. Those young guys up front with DeMarcus Riddick and some of them, I think that front group for Auburn is a group that, while they're going to be young, I think that's going to be a group that's going to be a whole lot more explosive.
Jordan Crawford, the kid from Parker, and we talked about it, the Super 7. I talked to my buddy who was his coach his freshman year when he was at a previous high school, and this guy would know because he stresses the weight room and the off-season program, and he said pound for pound, and at that age, strongest individual he's ever been around or coached. It's pretty remarkable.
Yep, no, he's going to be a guy so much fun to watch, and he's a great kid, but he's more explosive than people give him credit for too, and he's not just a big bear, but he definitely has those qualities as well.
We continue our conversation. Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover. He covers the Auburn Tigers, and he joins us, as all of our guests do, on the Buyers Right hotline. Anything that we should note as far as the portal goes and potential news that we could get with certain position groups or namely some individuals?
I think probably the other thing you look at is what happens at running back. I think that's another spot where you look and you go, probably going to want to add another veteran there, having just 3 guys. And Ahmad Hardy's a guy that you look at from UL Monroe as being a possibility. Running back from UConn is a possibility. So I think that's probably another spot you look at.
The Darrell Robinson kid, got to see him up close and personal. He's explosive at all get out and maybe a little bit thinner than a Darren Sproles, but about the same height. The advantage you have there, he gets lost behind a big offensive line, and he can hit you before you know that he's in the secondary. But that's just
I think you look at him, and he's got a little power to him too. So I think an interesting guy. Ahmad Hardy is, Auburn saw him last year, a really, explosive guy. The question is, you look at the NFL and you go, running backs, how much do teams draft running backs? So I think in the NIL world, how much do you pay a running back is going to be one of the things. And do you go, hey, you're going to focus more on offensive line and then figure it out at running back? I think that's some of the things you have to worry about too.
Well, there's going to be one NFL franchise that drafts Jarquez Hunter, and they're going to get a lot of tread left on those tires. So I guess that's good news.
And in special teams, a guy that does a bunch of stuff for a team, I think he'll be a guy that'll hang around and do whatever it takes for quite a while.
Jason, we appreciate you taking time. We know that you're busy right now. We will continue to follow you there on Twitter and all of your different platforms. And thanks for joining us and taking time for us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover on the Buyers Right hotline for all of your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner. Some interesting comments from Jason Caldwell, who would know, and potentially what Auburn does. What does that mean? Also, some of the other portal impacts and the needs for both Auburn and Alabama. We continue 3-man front and Jocks 94.5. 12:53 man front here on this Wednesday. Landrum Molly and Damian Mitchell kind enough to spend time. Conrad Van Order back with us tomorrow. Transfer portal, hot and heavy. Dylan Lonergan, in case you missed the news, Alabama quarterback, who our buddy Rob from Helena is really high on based on his 8A performances and reports we've gotten from practice. And in all fairness, we've heard great things about Dylan Lonergan, but saying that he could go in and immediately make an Auburn or somebody else better as the starting quarterback. We had that discussion and a lot of disagreement, at least on this side, but he's entitled to his opinion. Dylan Lonergan, though, is in the transfer portal. More news, though, not out of the SEC, but this guy was once in the SEC, and it's coming out of Tallahassee. Just keeps getting better for Mike Norvell and the Florida State Seminoles. Marvin Jones Jr., edge, 6'5", athletic as all get out. Spent a couple of seasons at Georgia, former 5-star recruit out of Fort Lauderdale. He has now officially entered the transfer portal, and he will command a lot of money.
Yeah, and he's worth it. And when he's on, he's on. I think if you're Florida State, you are kind of you're a little upset on this one because he is going to make an impact instantly, no matter where he goes.
He set career highs this season in 11 games, finished with 25 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. And in total, 41 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, the 1 fumble recovery, and 2 forced fumbles as a college player. But, Marvin Jones Jr., that's going to be a good get for somebody.
You ain't lying. Talk about plug and play guy. Absolutely. Your defensive line is definitely getting better as soon as he steps on the field.
We just heard from Jason Caldwell. What did that tell you? Anything that opened your eyes with Malik Murphy coming in and also Jackson Arnold coming in? It sounds like Auburn is going to offer the pitch. But it was interesting. He said in this day and age, you've got to go ahead and be that first guy.
Yeah.
Or try to grab that first guy. So Malik Murphy coming in this afternoon, if they put together a plan, I guess of the guys that were there, maybe Malik Murphy gives you more hope if you land him because you've seen him start at a place like Duke. It was a good point by Jason that he was not surrounded by talent. And he put up pretty good numbers.
Yeah. And to his point about the experience thing, because you don't want to I like how you left the door open of like those guys are going to compete in the spring. Yeah, the experience is probably going to be the ultimate equalizer if Malik Murphy does, or even Jackson Arnold goes in and they start or projected to start early on. But I think that, the quarterback depth is going to be a concern moving forward. But also, I just think that for Auburn, you just have to pick right. And it's hard to project, but they're going to be surrounded by a lot of talent, and you got to be able to play. That's all it comes down to. You cannot make the mistakes that, Peyton Thorne made past couple seasons. You're going to have, more experience with these guys that, had to play a lot as a freshman. But the biggest thing, you're going to be surrounded by talent. You have to over deliver, to be honest. You have to over deliver.
It's fair. So we'll keep our eyes on that. We'll keep that monitored as Malik Murphy going into Auburn. He's expected to arrive at 5:00 today, leave mid-morning. And then Jackson Arnold, he is going to stop in, Oklahoma quarterback, tomorrow afternoon, and then he's going to go and be reunited with Jeff Lebby, who recruited him to Oklahoma when he was still the OC there in Norman. And it's being reported by folks that would know, like Pete Nakos, who joined us on this very show yesterday, that Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby, they're going to make him priority number one to come and run that offense. You get Van Buren. That is signaling, I'm out. I've already been told by the coaching staff, we're going to target somebody else. We need somebody else to run this offense. You're not the guy. So with a familiarity, Jackson Arnold, it seems like that Auburn would almost be behind the 8 ball between the two.
And I think for Jackson Arnold, too, you think Blake Shapen, he'd announced that he's coming back to Mississippi State as well.
6th year, right?
Yeah, 6th year. And it's going to be a quarterback competition, I think, because it wasn't like, we only got a couple snaps with Blake Shapen, and it wasn't like he was bad. But if you're Jackson Arnold, would you rather, go into a field against Auburn? If you go to Auburn and it's, okay, well, I know I'm the most experienced guy here. Can I go out there and perform and make sure I have the starting spot? Or you compete head to head with Blake Shapen in Mississippi State, and you probably have the leg up because, Lebby rocks with you. So I don't know. Jackson Arnold's kind of playing with house money at this point, to be honest.
If they're bringing in Jackson Arnold and they're going to pay him, and it's reported 1.2 is his NIL valuation, 1.2 to 1.5 if they have to sweeten the deal. Right. Jackson Arnold will be your starting quarterback in Starkville if he chooses to go there.
Absolutely. And I think he'll do a good job
and
there.
Blake Shapen will find a spot somewhere else.
Yeah. He's an old man. 6 years. Somebody will take him.
Needs for Alabama, because Dylan Lonergan, quarterback, that doesn't seem to be the need. Milroe expected to go into the draft. Ty Simpson is there. Austin Mack.
Mm-hmm.
You might find somebody else to solidify and give you depth, which Jason was telling us you got to have 4 in that quarterback room. But immediately for Alabama, what would you think?
I'd probably say defensive back, because they're going to be young, but you still like the experience. Malachi Moore is going to be gone. So I think that, whoever steps into that role, if you want to have a more experienced guy that just kind of just knows the game, has the feel of it, that'd be a place. And also defensive line.
Defensive line. No, I think secondary, you go there and you look at what they were able to do with a Trey Amos and even when they were able to get Key out of UAB and some of the other spots just past year and getting
Keon Sabb,
Dorial Jackson.
Damani Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah, I think the more experienced guys would help. And if you don't want these, not necessarily don't want these guys, but say these young guys kind of have a sophomore slump or something, you want to at least have a veteran guy around there to kind of help them out, teach them the ropes, and also continue to make plays defensively.
How many of these guys can replicate what they did at their former school? We'll discuss that. Alabama, you got 3 wide receivers, at least notable wide receivers in the portal. Can they get it done somewhere else? What does that look like? Your phone calls are welcome. 800-239-WJOX. Text line is open 205-834-9450. We'll get to a lot of those texts that we haven't gotten to in the next hour. Get ready. Molly's Big Bowl of Fun. A bowl game special from Molly Robinson. 1 o'clock here on the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. Landrum, Molly, Damian Mitchell, Morning Jocks. Well, just Jocks 94.5, also Mac and Cube.
Let's say, like,
podcast.
Everything, man. Utility infielder. They call me Brandon Phillips on the side.
Private events entertainer.
Whoa. Hold on
Can
now.
bartend a little bit.
Yeah, I do what I do. Jack of all trades.
Multifaceted. Yes.
Jack of all trades. I learned from the best. Learn from the best.
Got a lot of jobs.
Exactly.
But it's good to be working, right? It's great to be working.
Exactly.
Very blessed to be working, not complaining.
Not at all. Not at all.
You know who's not complaining? Bill Belichick. North Carolina, and there's been news, there's been smoke out there, but we were wondering if this would ever come to fruition. But sources saying that they are nearing an agreement where Bill Belichick had an offer and apparently just trying to dot some I's and cross some T's, and that he will be the new head coach at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill.
Oh, yeah.
That's wild.
Should be fun.
Should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun. How's this recruiting work?
I love Chapel Hill.
What do we do? They have gear. We have the Spirit Squad that just comes in. We have a Spirit Squad. We have band. That'd be fun. Yeah, I can't imagine. Just given, and let's throw age out of it because it's not like we don't think that he can still do it. It's just this is as much of a football guy as he is to jump into college football this day and age. I mean, it's changed for guys. There have been guys that are getting out of it, whether it's head coaches or they want to stay in the college game because they can't land an NFL job and they just want to take a coordinator position because there's less responsibilities and less headache. But for a guy like him, and I know he's detail-oriented and he'll have a great plan for how this is all going to work, but to actually make it work and go into an athletic department that reportedly has a lot of hands in the cookie jar and Bubba Cunningham because of whatever mismanagement of athletic department revenue and the budget being $17 million under. I can't see a guy like Bill Belichick being so desperate to coach that he says, you know what? Yeah, you guys have it your way. You just tell me and I'll show up and I'll start coaching on day one. I would think that there would be a lot of demands on his side that he wanted put in place to go and land him. And apparently North Carolina was willing to do that.
And yeah, and I just don't know if it's going to work, man. I just think of the disconnect, not necessarily disconnect, because he's a winner, no doubt about it. It's just the landscape of college athletics. It could be something that he's probably teaching these guys indirectly of just how, college football is starting to trend. And maybe he's kind of the focal point of this is what it's going to be like. If some of you guys want to play professionally, you might as well start handling your business now as you're young. And I just think the demand of Bill Belichick to these college students, it's just going to be too much. I just don't know how this is going to work because I think the way that we see him on the sidelines, and you hear some of the stories that, a lot of the players that have played for him have tremendous respect, but he's very militant. Like, it's direct. It's not going to be, what makes, such and such feel good. I don't care how much your mama and daddy have donated to this program. If you ain't ready to play, you're not stepping on the field. And I just don't know if these college kids are ready for that real grown man conversation that they're going to get from Bill Belichick. I'm interested to see how this marriage is going to work, man.
No, I'm with you. And though we've never really seen it at this level, now Pete Carroll, having had failed stints at the NFL level, was able to go to USC in the late 90s, early 2000s when he was able to have the likes of Carson Palmer and Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and all the others. That was a different time, though.
Exactly.
Everything has changed, not only in the past 20, 25 years, but just think about just the last couple of years and how the playing field has changed. And then having a guy that is respected in football circles, but known to be maybe a tough guy to get along with. Player personnel issues. A guy who's very stubborn about what he does. There will be people that have already reached out and asked him for a job. I don't have any doubt about that. It's, can he make it work just based on personality and lack of experience? His son's going to be joining him there. It'll be interesting to see in the contract if indeed his son, who's currently the Washington defensive coordinator, who I'm sure will assume the same role or maybe be associate head coach. Some people saying it's just Belichick, his name in title. BS. BS. If he is attached to that job,
yeah,
he's running the show.
He's running, exactly. He ain't answering to nobody, and Everybody's going to be answering to old Bill. Chapel Bill. So they say.
He's just the Bill on Chapel Hill. Chapel Bill.
Okay, Mom.
Oh, gosh. Like she's aged in the 4 hours that we've been here.
That's right. Well, here's the thing. We could throw out like a proposition and something fun amongst friends with our friends at Prize Picks on Bill Belichick if we wanted to create that, and maybe more or less this many years that he makes it there in Chapel Hill, or how many games that he actually wins. Well, with Prize Picks, you can turn your sports knowledge into real cash fast. It's never been easier. Download the app today. Use code WJOX to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Even if your lineup isn't perfect, don't sweat it. Thanks to Prize Picks Flex Play, you can still cash out and double your money. So this football season and beyond, Prize Picks has got you covered. Sign up today. And again, just play $5 and get $50 instantly. That's right, $50 guaranteed, even if you don't win. Download the app today. Use code WJOX to get the $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download it. Prize Picks. And a reminder, must be 18 or older to play. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Get back to the phones and to your text, 800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Greg. He's in Russellville. Greg, welcome in.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, man. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Greg.
Hey, I had a comment, and then I had a question for you. I wish I could have asked you before the guy from Auburn was on there, because it'd been a good question to ask him. But anyway, I just had a comment about Bill. I think he ought to do like Ed Orgeron and go down and lay on the beach with his young girlfriend. But anyway, he as far as the question, my fiance is an Auburn fan, and this is a question from her. Actually, I told her I'd call and ask for her. But, she's an Auburn fan, and she don't understand why Hugh Freeze, why do you think this is going into his third year, why do you think he don't take a high school quarterback and coach him up? Because he's supposed to be the big offensive coach guy, for the quarterback. So why don't he do that instead of playing the lottery or casino or whatever on these quarterbacks in the portal?
I think you're kind of taking it's maybe more of a gamble with trying to develop one of those guys because of the speed of the game and the complexities, and you could probably get Greg McElroy to explain it better about the intricacies of that position and trying to do it. Deuce Knight was brought in. He's still viewed as a guy who has got all kinds of upside, maybe the best upside of any quarterback that they've brought there besides Cam Newton. Or even going back to Jason Campbell, when he was recruited out of the same state that Deuce was back in the 90s. But he is viewed as still a guy that needs to develop, needs some time. You don't want to throw him in the fire his first year. Just look at what Jackson Arnold did. We heard about. And Jackson Arnold had played in games, but this year we saw him as a full-fledged starter, and it was not the Jackson Arnold that people had Oklahoma picked as the number, 15 preseason team in the country that everybody was pointing at. You had injuries, offensive line, wide receiver, but still, it was an eye-opening experience. I don't know if you can gamble, especially in year 3 with the pressure that's going to be on Hugh Freeze and following up a 6-7 and a 5-7 season, recruiting classes that you've been able to stack. You got to bring a guy that's proven he can do it at the D1 level against big boy competition. So that would be the long answer to your fiance.
She's going to watch tonight when she gets home, but she's keeps saying, well, I think that the gambles are the ones you bring in on the portal too, So anyway, I think she wants one that's developed as a high school, so they're there for 3 years or so maybe.
Hey,
but I appreciate it. I'll tell her to watch tonight and listen to you.
All right, Greg, we appreciate it. Greg there in Russellville. Let's get to the text line, 205-834-9450. And Corey says there's a reason Nick said goodbye. Bill Belichick isn't going to work.
I'm with you, man.
I tend to agree with you there.
I agree.
This question, am I going out on a limb here, but I'm saying no ice cream trucks at Bill Belichick's practices? I think that's safe to assume.
Yeah, I don't think Bill's going to play around with that.
Mike says, seems like there's a reason why NFL teams didn't hire him. Without Tom Brady, I'm not sure he's over 500 winning percentage. And then following that up, and I'm trying to find the text, FJF said Belichick's 83-101 record without Brady is shockingly one of the worst in NFL history. His last season with the Patriots, they finished 4-13, dead last in the AFC East, which led them to letting him go 18 hours ago. That's Bill Belichick's head coaching record without Tom Brady as a head coach. Please explain to me why anyone thinks he will work at UNC. It's name.
That's it.
Football knowledge and just hoping because for whatever reason, all the other candidates that were mentioned for that job withdrew their names. I can't imagine that Bill Belichick or his agent reached out and they were like, hey, John Summerall, you've been doing it. And won 2 Sun Belts. They're at Troy. You played in the American Championship game at Tulane this year and taken over for Willie Fritz with a new quarterback and new pieces there. I can't imagine that.
I can't.
It's name. And we're talking about it.
Yeah, that's kind of all it is.
John Summerall's not going to get this kind of conversation on this show or a lot of shows nationally, but you're talking about North Carolina.
Yep. And Bill Belichick.
It's one thing to have Dion.
Right.
And having that star power. This is apples to grapefruit.
It just doesn't make sense.
Not really like that. Do y'all think Rich Rodriguez will get another big time deal at another big time school?
I think so.
Define big time.
Right. If it's just a P4.
Because there was rumors out there that maybe West Virginia, that would be.
Again?
Mm-hmm. Coming back, doing it. We've seen it with other coaches at other places.
Yeah.
He had a lot of success there. He probably thinks to himself, and hey, coach, if you're listening, but he probably thinks to himself, I never should have left West Virginia.
That's kind of my thing
green
too.
Or somewhere else.
Right. He made that jump to Michigan and then didn't go as well.
Honestly, I hope he stays at Jacksonville State.
Me too.
He's doing a great job leading that program. John from Dothan says, probably just a wish, but how great would it be to see Bill Belichick and Nick Saban? I brought that up. If Saban would ever come back to play ball in a game, GOAT versus GOAT. Oh, he's saying that Saban come back and.
But not on the same staff. Like those kids couldn't handle that. They would not be able to handle that. They couldn't do it.
I think Nick Saban's eyes have been open.
Yeah.
To a whole new world, and he's probably enjoying his time right now. I don't think Miss Terry would give him back. Belichick, he's got the 26-year-old.
Exactly. What's like the most popular bar down there in Chapel Hill? He's probably you probably might see him on there after a game every now and then. Like, what you doing here, coach? Well, I got to watch out for my girlfriend.
The girlfriend's probably pushing for it. She's like, I cannot. As much as I love you, and I guess it's love.
Love has no age.
No.
It should. It should.
My boyfriend, who is 46 years older than me, but I just cannot be around him 24 hours a day. She needs that break.
She's going to be like one of those sorority, hanging out with from her sorority sisters, and she's partying. Just imagine some dude walking up to her and is like, hey, you got a boyfriend? Do I?
Yeah.
Do I? What's his name? Bill. Bill.
This one rolls in. Yeah, man. We're talking about the GOAT of the NFL. Chill out. He's going to kill it, and his son is going to be fire.
Okay.
He's got a vote.
There you go. I like the positive vibes. I'm just not getting jiggy with it.
Nick Saban came from the NFL. I know he didn't start out as an NFL coach, but not many start their coaching career in the NFL. No, it's true. And Belichick has been, and Molly reminded us that his first gig was with the Baltimore Colts.
That's right.
Yeah, the Baltimore
right out of
Colts.
College.
The Baltimore Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Born in Nashville.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then played ball there because his dad was a coach at Naval Academy, and he was there at Navy, and that's where I think he and Nick Saban, they actually.
Back in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Belichick has a 10-year plan. Okay.
He went to Wesleyan University.
Old Wesleyan.
Mm-hmm.
His girlfriend has sparked his energy. Or he better watch out for the starting quarterback taking his girlfriend. That's a storyline.
You see, Bill. Why did Bill?
You got the Tulane quarterback who's now transferred to be the heir apparent to Malachi Murphy, who is now in the transfer portal,
right,
visiting Auburn this afternoon, and maybe some other schools. But there's their story right there.
Imagine he put his hands on a player because saw him talking to his girlfriend.
Oh no,
that's a story.
All right, I need you to back away.
Dwight says Belichick relates well to this age group. How old is his girlfriend? Well, exactly. Maybe she's a recruiting coordinator.
Oh boy. Some
hey
jokes
guys,
just write,
welcome into our home.
some jokes just write themselves.
We just bought it 2 weeks ago. We have celebrated 1.5 years of happy courting.
Excuse me, young lady. Is that your granddad? No, that's my boyfriend. Like, whoa. Okay. Enjoy it. That's wild.
Molly, you're shaking your head.
You
think it's love or you think that's meal ticket?
I'm gonna say it's love.
Or do you find a way to love someone who is your meal ticket and gives you unlimited spending?
Maybe that too.
That's it. That's it. It's a meal ticket and leading to love.
Okay, that's fair. Chapel Bill is just deployed to get his son a head coaching position.
But I think Baby Bill could have gotten his own job. Like I think he's old enough now and he can work his way up the ladder.
Alan says Belichick's girlfriend gets free tuition.
Makes sense. Grad school. That's wild.
Stephen Frog says rumor going around that Cam Rising is interested in transferring to AU.
What? He's like 38.
I don't know if that was tongue in cheek.
I was about to say, man, get it. What did Pop say? Get a job. It's time to go to work, big dog. It's time to be a tax-paying citizen. You can't be in college forever. Like that's the thing about Cam Rising and a lot of these older guys. It's like, man, I understand you love college ball, but sweet Lord have mercy. You cannot relate to none of these kids. None of them. Like you get a chance to go to the bars and stuff because you ain't got to show your ID because you look 30. And then you got to take your freshman wide receiver that wants to sneak in. It's like, nah, big dog, I got too much to work for. I got too much to live for. It's crazy. Get a job.
Jacob says Belichick and his girlfriend are going to be like the youth couple where the guy's the head coach and the girl is the cheer coach. And some other ones that I can't read, but they're really entertaining. All right, we'll continue. We still have Molly's big bowl of fun, her holiday bowl special, everything you needed to know and learn about bowls present, bowls past, fun facts, and all of that good stuff. You don't want to miss that. We'll get back to your phone calls. Got some folks on hold and continue with the text. It's Landrum, Molly, and Damian on a Wednesday, 3-man front and Jocks 94.5. Carolina Blue Christmas for Bill Belichick and his soulmate, 26-year-old Jordan Hudson. That's 2 O's in Jordan. Sources saying that he's close to coming to an agreement, become the head coach at North Carolina. I believe everything is being finalized right now, and who knows when we get the press conference, but it'll be quick. Be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be quick.
Does he placate to the media? Is he thankful after being out of football coaching for what, the last year? Is that right? When did we see him at the Chick-fil-A in Atlanta when he was ordering the food? Was it this time last year?
I think so.
I think so.
I think it was
when he was interviewing with the
For
Falcons.
The Falcons.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And thought for sure that Bill Belichick was going to be the Atlanta Falcons' new head coach, but team's passing on him for whatever reason. I can't imagine why. I'm sure the sit downs go well with ownership and management.
Yeah.
Well, something you don't want to pass up is football and Fireball, because that is a match made in heaven. And by heaven, of course, we mean at Twin Peaks. So spice things up the next game day with a shot of our favorite cinnamon whiskey that is at Twin Peaks in Hoover.
Let's get back to the phone lines. Let's go to our buddy Crimson Convict. Crimson Convict, welcome in.
What's up, guys?
What's happening, bro?
Just looking at now the new GOAT of college football.
Dude, look, man, I disagree with Molly. I think she's going in Nicole Smith. I think she's playing the long game on this. And
oh my God,
no pun intended. Stop, Landry.
Oh my gosh.
Stop, Landry.
I wasn't even thinking about that. No, you went morbid there.
Oh man.
I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, but that's okay. Continue.
All right. And is Bill real sure that he wants to turn her loose down there? You know, Duke Lacrosse is right down the road.
Oh, stop it, Crimson Convict.
Dang, dog.
Dang it.
Hey, look, man, I'm just saying. And well, I ain't even gonna go there. I had a Bob Kraft.
I mean, well, hell, why stop now? You're on a roll.
Oh man, I just don't know. I don't know. All kidding aside, I just don't see. That's why Nick got out of it. Was it true that on the way home on the plane from the Michigan playoff game, he had players coming up negotiating to him before the wheels even set ground? Was that true?
I'd heard it had happened before.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And if two are cut from the same mold, Saban and Belichick are basically twins.
You had players trying to re-up their deals after the Iron Bowl.
That's not going to work. I agree with Damien, which, by the way, what's up, Damien?
What's happening, big dog?
Yeah, I agree with Damien, man. I just don't – I don't think it's going to translate. I mean, Bill's going to go no nonsense on them. And, hell, that's why Nick got out of the pro game in Miami, in my opinion, because his coaching tactics did not translate with the pro players because it was a business for them.
Sure.
And that's exactly what it is now in college.
And you know as well as I do, Crimson Convict, look, we don't question his football IQ. I don't question anything about what Bill Belichick knows about the game of football, and I don't care what level. But it's not about just X's and O's. It is so much more. I would love to ask Bill Clark how much of being successful at the Division I level, how much is predicated on X's and O's? As opposed to Jimmy's and Joe's, support, all the other stuff now that you have to have just to have a seat at the table, much less get the lion's share and be able to compete at the highest of levels.
Well, I think he's going to lean on Nick. I do. I think there's going to be plenty of phone calls in the 11th hour trying to get his opinion on things. And I'm sorry, I just don't see him push unless he gets an A1 staff, and which, by the way, his son is not it. I don't see him putting that grind down 24/7 to hit the recruiting trail and going in, and I just don't see him kissing that much butt to try to get a player there.
I'm with you.
I'm with you, dog.
I don't either.
That's me. All right. 10-4, guys. I'll holler at you.
Crimson Convict, thank you. Appreciate it. Let's go to Miami Hater. Miami Hater, what's up?
Hey, guys. How are y'all doing?
Doing well. Good to hear from you.
Hey, man. It's been a while since I called in. But I was listening to McElroy and Cube and some of those guys this morning. They're bagging on TJ Finley. But I was thinking, what day does the transfer portal opens December 9th, right?
Yes, that's
so.
correct. Yeah.
Is that correct? In my opinion, while he's the worst quarterback I've ever seen, he is the GOAT of the transfer portal. Okay.
Sure.
So December 9th is TJ Finley Day. We should celebrate it. Go eat cupcakes somewhere.
Does he
That's
have the
my first
record?
thought.
Does he have the record for, because we used to give JT Daniels a hard time.
Right.
USC to Georgia to West
Okay.
Virginia to Rice and then to Oregon
Okay.
State.
You're tracking with me now, Landrum. So what I think you should do is let's have a Mount Rushmore of the transfer portal, okay?
We can
And
do
like
that.
figure out who are the goats of this thing, because TJ Finley has owned it, okay? That's my comment. My second question is, Landrum, did you see UAB signing day?
Yes.
Talk about cupcakes. We got to do something, man. Just letting you know. What do you think about that? I mean, I know you have to reserve comments sometimes, but
Right.
I just, it was less than stellar, obviously, but
No, and being around Coach Trent Dilfer, I can tell you this. I don't question anything about his football IQ. And I'll say this, as far as genuine people, he has been a delight to get to know and to work with. He is a media person's dream. He gets it, his accessibility, his transparency. There are so many positives in his column, and he has absolutely owned all of it and said, I realize that I have failed. I have not met the expectations I set for myself, the expectations that should be here in place of this program. I've got to win more games. We've got to win more games. So I appreciate you respecting the position that I'm in, but I'm just telling you that side of Trent Dilfer,
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed getting to know him. And he means
let me
so
tell
well.
you
And there's
this,
things I
man.
can't even say that the extra efforts that he goes out of his way to help his building, from whoever's a assistant coach, support staff, to maintenance and janitorial, just out of his heart, he is a giver. And that's not BS. That's like the serve days and all of that. That's not BS. That's Trent Dilfer.
that's good to hear. But I listened to Bill Clark on one podcast, and Bill Clark was a whole other level of excellence, you know. And
Two totally different
know,
personalities too. And I
but
love
Bill
Coach Clark, and I'm
Clark-
friends with him. Yeah.
Coach Clark is a coach. You know, every coach can be an analyst, but not every analyst can be a coach.
Fair.
And I'll leave it at that. So, but anyway, man, I'm gonna have to catch up with y'all on social sometime. I'm over here in Trussville. Pat lives over here. I've never met.
He
I've
lives
never
in a
met
gated
Pat.
community. He's got a guard
Yeah,
with a machine gun.
you know.
Don't even try.
Yeah, don't
He's got a
even
moat
worry
around his
about it.
house.
I got machine guns outside my house too. So I mean, you know, I'm
What is
sort of the
going
same
on?
way. But I'm gonna have to catch up with y'all sometime over in Homewood.
All right.
So-
Well, hey, Tuesday we're going to be there at Social Taco, and we're having a Christmas party, and I'm going to invite you. So I would love for you to be
Let's
there.
go.
All right. We're there.
All right. Y'all
We'll
be
see.
good, man.
Miami Hater,
Bye-bye.
thank you. We appreciate you. Let's go to Genesis. Genesis, welcome
Hey,
in.
how you all doing?
Doing great. Hope you are.
I'm blessed, man. I wanted to call with a possible solution to the college football playoff.
All right.
Okay, so I believe it'll be best, like the best system. Would you all not agree that the BCS system was the best ranking system?
In some regards, yes. But if we had a situation like last year, no, because you did need the human element to recognize that one team was drastically different without their star player. But for the most part, it wasn't bad.
Okay, so my idea was to go to the BCS ranking system, have all the Power 4 teams play a 6-game schedule, conference schedule, and then for the other 6 games, split it up, two games from the other 3 power conferences, and then let the BCS system rank them, throughout the year. Then after the championship games, and then you take the highest group of 5 team. This year would have been Boise State, and that way it's like it's covering all the key points that really Coach Nick Saban hit on, as far as all schedules are not created equal, and we can't just totally neglect strength of schedule. I would have one person that's in charge of scheduling all of the games, as far as out of conference, to balance out the schedules. So no league like the SEC, which is the toughest conference, is more top heavy as far as strength of schedule than the other three leagues. So what do you all think about that?
Genesis, thank you for the phone call. I don't think we have to totally reinvent the wheel. I'm okay with moving and going to 4 extra teams, and that alleviates some of the conversation. It won't happen every year moving forward, but like this year where you have teams that are just there on the outside, there's kind of that cutoff line where you got Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Miami in this year's case. Outside of that, at least for this year, you look at teams after that, if we go 17 through 25, there's a massive drop-off. So I don't think we have to go to 24, but maybe that helps alleviate not only and knocks out the strength of schedule argument.
Yeah.
And the reason why there's more scrutiny put on it is because we have more teams.
Right.
And with more teams, when you get outside of the first 2 or 3, there's going to be more scrutiny because there's more warts, and the win-loss column is going to look different. But now with parity, transfer portal in full effect, the roster's lack of elite depth at every single position, stacked on like we've had in the past. We don't have that anymore, and it's all of this kind of coming at us at once. But first and foremost, the seeding. Let's do something about seeding.
Yeah. Automatic qualifier.
I don't know how you have to draw it up, but yeah, if you're ranked at this, there's no way that you should be rewarded in hosting a game or getting a bye.
Right.
Moving forward. But I have no doubts that there will be a set number of teams for the SEC and the Big Ten moving forward that they're going to be guaranteed after this year.
I agree.
I guarantee you. Greg Sankey.
There's going to be some changes.
Tony Petitti, they've already met, the commissioners, respectively, the SEC and the Big Ten. And I'm sure that Greg Sankey, as he's always thinking ahead, he has already drafted it. It is ready to go. It is on really, really good legal paper. And that's not going to be more of a back and forth. That's going to be, all right, shut up and listen.
Yep.
That's my thoughts. Molly's got a big bowl of fun. Molly's Holiday Bowl Special. It's next. 137 here on Three Man Front. You hear that news or that sound? The news is Bill Belichick is coming to college football. North Carolina. Chapel Bill, as they're calling it.
That's what they call it.
That's great. It's a lot easier to work Bill in than it is Belichick.
Yeah, it is.
But now it is time for the much anticipated Molly's Big Bowl of Fun.
Oh, I'm so excited. So
What spawned this?
What spawned this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love a good bowl game and how every week I would do my bowl projections. And we have some fun bowls. For example, the Pop-Tart Bowl.
I'm here
where
for
they
it.
eat the live mascot, the winning team.
It's weird.
You have the Duke's Mayo Bowl where they dump the bucket of mayo on whoever the winning head coach might be.
I love Dukes, not that much, and not on my hair.
I would agree with that. There's the bad boys of whatever the new pinstripe logo.
Bad Boy Mowers?
Right, that one. Yeah, I call it the Gotham Bowl.
And we had the Wasabi Bowl.
And the Wasabi Bowl.
Uh-huh.
So I just got to thinking, what are some past bowl games that we should bring back?
I could think of one.
Okay, go
and I
for it.
remember it was from way back, and it was played prior to the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it was the Bacardi Bowl.
Oh.
I have that one on my list.
Really? Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, you're fine.
Sorry. That was just one that I thought of, and that was played in Havana, Cuba. And I think it was Auburn and Villanova, was it
Well,
not?
you know what? Let's start with the Bacardi Bowl.
Really?
So the first Bacardi Bowl was played in 1907. It was LSU versus the University of Havana.
Ooh. Wow.
The final score, 56-0.
LSU.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
But you're right. Auburn and Villanova did play in that bowl in 1936.
Oh, yeah.
Tied 7-7. Landrum said he remembers it.
You remember that one?
That was pre-Castro.
Yeah, it was.
In 19...
I do not remember that one.
Oh, okay.
I remember reading it.
In 1910, we had the Cuban Athletic Club. They played Tulane. Guess who won that game?
I'm going roll wave.
Oh, you're wrong. The
What?
Cuban Athletic Club. They won 11-0.
We should have known something was going to happen a little bit later. Should have known.
Cuba's got some athletes, man.
They do.
You ever seen them play baseball?
Yeah, I have.
Well, guess what? If you've watched Major League Baseball, you've seen them.
You'll like this one. We've also seen the University of Florida. They were in the Bacardi Bowl
Go Gators.
back in the year of 1912. They played
That was Ron Zook. His first year.
the Vedado Tennis Club.
Huh?
I'm not even kidding.
Tennis team said, hey, let's try football for a day?
Oh, boy.
The score was 28-0, but Florida did win that one.
I guess Florida took it easy on in that game. Just 28?
That's it.
It's
yeah.
hard to score back then.
It was different back in 1912.
No forward pass.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of ground and pound.
Now, I couldn't find any information, whoever the winning coach was, if they poured just a huge thing of Bacardi on them. Or if they,
1912. How long did it take Florida to get there?
That is a good
That
question.
is a great question.
Think they went by boat?
I mean, yeah.
Probably.
so, yeah.
Cruise ship?
Ooh.
Just a boat.
Bacardi cruise.
Cargo ship. Find a container. Take a seat.
Yeah.
Keep the door cracked.
We'll be there when we get there.
Yeah. We'll bring your MREs to you later for the team meal.
All right. I like this one. This is the Salad Bowl.
Seriously.
Not sponsored by anybody, just salad.
You could have
Fitting.
the salad bowl these days. Brought to you by Baco's.
Sure.
Okay. It was played from 1948 to 1955.
Oh, a little short stint.
The first game featured Nevada and North Texas State.
North Texas State.
We've also seen Arizona play in the bowl. We've seen Arizona State, Pat's favorite place. Dayton, Camp Breckenridge,
Camp Breckenridge.
the Skyline All-Stars.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we just
Saw them at the BJCC that year.
They're playing the Globetrotters.
You ain't right.
This is wild. The Salad Bowl. Sounds like it was Western team, so it's probably what Mountain West wasn't ready.
Truly a lettuce game.
Yeah. Oh God.
So back in 1953,
You can't hate on
the San Diego Naval Academy played Camp Breckenridge. The final score was 81-20.
Oh.
Who had the over in that one?
Yeah, they opened the can. Talk about coaching sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Well, like Steve Sawyer said, it's their job to stop me.
Well, and the reason why was because in 1952 they stopped inviting schools and they introduced, like naval academies to come in and play.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was where that started.
Okay.
So that's when you got that 81-20 final score.
Okay.
It happens.
This one I like a lot. This one, it was a little unexpected for me when I saw where it was located. This is called the Mirage Bowl.
It's got to be in the desert.
You're wrong. This was actually not in the United States.
What?
This was in Tokyo, Japan.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, you had Notre Dame taking on Miami in the Mirage Bowl in Tokyo.
You talking about a culture shock?
Yeah.
Very much so.
That'd be a fun trip, though. I wouldn't want to go to China for a bowl game, but Tokyo,
No.
I could do that.
No, maybe not.
Yeah, the headline says Notre Dame goes international and talks about how they've been to Ireland before, but
Right.
they got to play in Tokyo.
I'd vote for that. That'd be fun.
Just imagine they would have done that in the 80s.
See, and I told you I was not expecting that one.
The international version of Catholics versus convicts.
Well, back in the 80s, you
That's literally
could
what
you
that
could
is.
see the
Crazy.
electronics that you could expect to see.
True.
Stateside 3 years later, you just get an early look at them.
Oh boy, Michael Irvin in Tokyo, Japan.
Oh yeah. All right, and
He's got a portable CD player.
there's one more bowl that I want to bring up.
Okay.
Let's do it.
And this is Evansville, Indiana's very own Refrigerator Bowl.
What?
Played from 1948 to 1956. But you might be thinking, why was it called the Refrigerator Bowl?
Yes.
Well, at that point in history, Evansville manufactured more refrigerators than any other city.
Was it Maytag?
That's a good question.
Frigidaire.
But yes, they sponsored the Refrigerator Bowl. And it was won by the University of Evansville, the hometown team.
Look at that. Home cooking.
Home cooking.
The refs probably helping them out.
Purple
they might
Aces. Getting it done.
That's exactly right.
Who'd they play?
Remember how I mentioned Camp
Please say
Breckenridge?
Nebraska. Oh.
Yeah.
They were one of the teams featured. Also, the College of Idaho, they were featured one year.
All right, Idaho.
And yeah,
Got to keep those potatoes cold.
you sure do. With refrigerators.
The refrigerator bowl.
Played from 1948 to 1956.
I wonder why they had such short stints.
Well, nowadays we get like I said, the Bad Boy Mowers Bowl.
Right, yeah, we can get these things
We've
sponsored.
had,
We
like,
can bring
the-
these back.
We've had like the GoDaddy Bowl,
Yeah.
the Papa John's Bowl.
Yeah. We can find a way to make that work. Bring the refrigerator bowl back.
Where is Camp Breckenridge? That's what is that?
This was back in the 40s, so.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what that was.
It was a World War II infantry division camp.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
Makes
That's why they're so competitive.
Like maybe getting ready to go to war. Football ain't nothing.
No.
It's a football. This is a break.
Getting ready to go kill folks.
Yeah, exactly. Like we get to put pads on.
You're gonna wear that. You're gonna wear that sissy leather helmet out here.
Exactly.
You kidding me, Molly? That was great stuff.
Thank you.
You can dodge a bullet. You can dodge a tackle.
We're all smarter now because of Molly's big bowl of fun. Molly has also been marinating on questions. We'll try to answer them. 3-man front and Jocks 94.5. No.
What version is this?
Elf.
So yeah.
By the way, I've never been in retail. Well, in food service, yes, working. But department stores, do they have locker rooms and showers for employees? I just found that odd. But maybe that's commonplace. I don't know.
I don't know either.
No, I know.
Great question.
Nobody hears.
Yeah,
Has ever done that.
Wouldn't know.
What we do know is Molly comes up with questions and we try to answer them. We can't wait to see. We don't know what the questions are. This is Molly Marinades.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for
Molly
Pat Ponders.
And as always, Molly Marinate / Pat Ponders is brought to you by Courtesy GMC out in Trustful. So go check them out at courtesybirmingham.com. Question 1 about the college football playoff. So every prediction, whatever I've seen, they all pretty much have 2 teams, Oregon and Georgia. So if you were to bet on another team besides Oregon and Georgia to run the table and win the whole thing, who would you pick?
Ooh.
If you had to. Keyword.
I would say right now Ohio State.
Okay.
I'd say Ohio State. I think Ryan Day,
You think he gets it done?
Yeah, all the criticism that he goes through because he can't beat Michigan. Usually everybody else he has success against. And I mean, he's already played for a national title. He played Georgia close a couple years ago. He just got it in him, big time moments. He can find a way to get it done. If I were to lay some money down, it'd be Ohio State. Texas a close second.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You don't think I'm crazy?
You about to say Penn State, aren't you?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It's the team that Georgia should be playing in the second round. It's Notre Dame. There's something about this Notre Dame that just, and look, I have been first in line every single year to say no to Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
No to Notre Dame. I used to be that way with Michigan.
Yeah.
And then last year happened, and I had to drink the big thirst buster of shut up juice. Something about this Notre Dame team, I do feel like they are different.
Mm-hmm.
And they're more complete, not only with eye test, look, athletes, but assuming that they get by Georgia, we can't pick Georgia.
No.
And then if they set up in the third round with Penn State, and then you get to the title game in a one game.
Yeah.
I would love to see the matchup with Oregon. I don't think Oregon's
Absolutely.
head and shoulders above everybody else.
That I do agree.
Yeah, we talked about that this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So Notre Dame for me.
See, I would have said Ohio State like on one side of the bracket, and then for the other side, my pick probably would have been Notre Dame. I like those answers though. All right, question 2 also involves the playoff. So each week throughout the college football season, we always look at the slate and you always think, oh, this team's going to win, this team's going to win. But we always have some sort of chaos or parity, it feels like, every week. So if you were to pick a first round matchup that we might see that, oh, you think this team's going to win, this team's going to win, where do you think we might see the biggest upset happen that actually would likely happen?
SMU over Penn State because James Franklin blows it in big games.
Because right now everyone wants to say like, oh, the team that's favored will win.
Mm-hmm.
But as we know, in college football, that isn't always the case.
Yep. I think Penn State. I honestly don't even think Penn State makes out the first round. I actually think SMU gets them.
SMU and Penn State, that's a good guess, but I will go to Austin, Texas and say Clemson.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Crazier things have happened.
You're a big Dabo guy.
No, I'm not a big Dabo guy. I have been underwhelmed and sorely disappointed with Sark. They ought to be ashamed of themselves based on the schedule, what they had. The depth that you had at quarterback, number one. Your offensive line that was ready-made for the NFL, according to everyone coming into the season, you had no deficiencies. You had addressed all of those deficiencies with unbelievable NIL and bringing in elite players, a lot like Ohio State.
Yeah.
And you played Georgia twice, a Georgia team that, would you not agree? If you took Kirby's last 4 teams, I would take Georgia's team last this year, maybe. You could make the argument.
Yeah.
Okay.
After those teams.
They're the most human.
They ain't got Brock Bowers. They don't have Lad McConkey.
Mm-hmm.
They got dudes on defense, but not like they had at one time.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
And even with, at times, subpar quarterback play from Carson Beck, What has Texas really proven to you?
That's a fair point. Not much.
Yeah, overlook that Clemson team. The rest of y'all bus.
You're right.
All right. Next question. This one's about Bill Belichick.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to give you an over-under number of how many years he lasted at North Carolina. 3.5.
Under.
Okay.
I think 3 is I don't think he makes it past 3.
I'll go under.
All right. I was wavering between 2.5 or 3.5, but I decided to go the 3.5 route.
Again, I'm going to love to see that contract. What does that guarantee?
Yeah. All right, final question. Today is National App Day, like an app on your phone.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So just a simple question. What is your most used app on a day-to-day basis on your phone?
Twitter.
And that's besides like phone, text, like the ones, that type of app.
Twitter.
Google Chrome.
See, mine would probably be Twitter as well.
Twitter.
I'm on Twitter a lot.
It's Google Chrome.
It's just it's so easy to get news off of Twitter.
Exactly.
You just hit refresh and all of a sudden it's breaking news, like someone entered the portal or whatever.
Thanks, Elon Musk.
It's Google Chrome and then Safari.
Also, did you see how much Elon Musk is worth?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
$351 billion,
It's absurd.
dog. It's ridiculous. That's insane. There's so much money out here. And I ain't got none of it. I ain't got none of it, dog.
Nah, you'd be miserable.
Elon, can I just borrow like a couple $100 so I can go to New York?
That's it.
But I'm like a lot of people. I would love to be miserable. Just
Exa-
at least for a day with
What Drake said, give me
$350
those
billion.
problems. Give me those problems. They say money can't buy you happiness, but it can help.
That's going to do it, Damien. Thanks for hanging out.
Absolutely.
For Molly Robinson, I'm Landry Roberts. Thanks for joining us. 'Tis the season to be merry.
Hey, that's my name.
Paul Feinbaum is next.